We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him up.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, everybody, welcome in. Justin Kinner hanging out with you here on a Friday. Happy Friday. Hope everyone has some fun plans lined up for the weekend. Excited to be hanging out with you here this afternoon. No Kev Nash today. He left me alone by myself, and sometimes that can be dangerous. That could be really dangerous, especially when there's not someone here to check me a little bit. So nonetheless, I'm excited for today's show. So much to dive into. First, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, of course, Orion Sports Medicine. Appreciate Dr. Phil and all the work him and his team do and being a part of what we do here on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. But I wanted to open up with this because, look, by the way, how about that Hall of Fame game last night? I'm going to spend an entire 3 hours dissecting a meaningless game. Not really, but the bottom line is it was just fun to watch football last night. I didn't really care about any of the storylines. I didn't really care. It's not that I didn't care about the storylines. I just didn't care about the game itself. The result of the game is what it is. It was just fun to watch football. It was fun to see all those Hall of Famers in Canton last night. So that was pretty cool. But overall, I enjoyed watching Najee Harris for the Steelers. I'll learn to hate him as we get closer to the season, of course. Also, I really like Dwayne Haskins in Pittsburgh, and I do think that by the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, again, a very fortunate franchise. I mean, look, you don't win as many Super Bowls as that franchise has, and they don't, have the success that they've had for as long as they have had it. If they're a franchise that normally doesn't have a lot of things go right for them, and a lot of that is self-manufactured. And I do think that this Dwayne Haskins situation in Pittsburgh might have been a very fortunate situation for them. I don't know if they have their quarterback of the future. I don't know what their plan is for post-Big Ben, but they may have accidentally fallen upon their quarterback of the future if this ends up working out with Dwayne Haskins. So we welcome you in. Here's the deal. I'm solo today. So with that being said, I will open up the phone lines here around the corner, but I want to open up with Josh Allen getting his payday. Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills agreed to a 6-year extension. The deal is worth $258 million, with $150 million of that being guaranteed. Allen's deal does top that $258 million marker that we talked about. Again, the number 7 pick in 2018 had his 5th-year option picked up in May, basically as a formality. And I remember that, the Baker haters and the Browns haters right away wanted to, when the Browns picked up Baker's 5th-year option, everyone's like, well, see, because they're not sold on Baker. Colin Cowherd. No, the Browns picking up his 5th-year option. They're not sold on Baker Mayfield. He's not the quarterback of the future. Lamar Jackson had his 5th-year option picked up. It's a formality. The Buffalo Bills picked up the contract or the 5th-year option. It's a formality. We all knew that whoever was going to get the deal done first was going to really set the table for the next 2 quarterbacks. And of course, that's Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson. Now, I will say this. Good for Josh Allen. Good for Baker Mayfield, good for Lamar Jackson. But the thing that's interesting about all 3 of these quarterbacks is, yes, I'll be honest with you. When I look at Josh Allen, I think you could feel the best about him. I know that Lamar Jackson has won an MVP, and they've won a lot of games with them. They've been to the playoffs every year since he took over a few years ago. But keep in mind, there's still a lot of flaws. If you want to ask me who is the most flawed quarterback of the 3, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, as crazy as this sounds, the most flawed quarterback of those 3 just so happens to be the only one of the 3 that has won an MVP. If there is any one of those quarterbacks that I would not feel comfortable giving this type of money to, as crazy as it sounds, because the resume would probably indicate that this dude's in for a major payday to surpass what Josh Allen just did, Lamar Jackson makes me very nervous. I know how talented he is. I know that he can dice up a defense with his legs. We're about to find out. I mean, they add Sammy Watkins. I like the receiver they got out of Purdue in the draft, and I like the weapons that they've provided him, but I'm not sold that he can utilize those weapons. He's not a good passing quarterback. He does not complete a high percentage of his passes. He over and underthrows receivers constantly. I know what he could do with his legs, and I get tired of when people like to bring that up about Josh Allen versus Baker Mayfield. Well, Josh Allen can make plays with his legs. Super. If you want rushing stats, get a damn running back. All I care about is what can you do with your arm. And Josh Allen has the most arm talent of all three of them. Josh Allen's arm definitely surpasses Lamar Jackson. I'll take his arm over Baker Mayfield's arm. I think that the most well-rounded quarterback of the three is the guy that just got paid today. But I don't think that the most well-rounded quarterback that just got paid today is going to be making more money than the other two. Unfortunately, depending on what Baker Mayfield does this season, if he goes out and balls out, because, by the way, I would be very shocked if the Browns pulled the trigger on giving Baker Mayfield an extension. I, as a Browns fan, and me as a big Baker Mayfield apologist, I will say I don't want him to get paid right now. I like Baker Mayfield. I'm not convinced yet that he has done enough to make more than a Josh Allen, because here's the deal. I'm fine with major stars getting paid major money because you know that those stars can elevate talent around you. Patrick Mahomes, I mean, that dude right there, $500 million, the total money combined of his entire contract. You know that guy can elevate talent around him. He's going to take less talented receivers and make them good. Aaron Rodgers does the same thing. Now, he happens to have the number one wide receiver in the NFL, but he does win with a lot less than what most other quarterbacks do. I mean, look at all the talent that Tom Brady had winning the Super Bowl last year. More wide receiver talent than, of course, in Kansas City, but as a whole, at least. But, I mean, when you look at Hill and you look at Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes isn't hurting for talent either. But look at the Packers. Okay, after Adams, it's not a whole lot going on over there. I mean, I'm not saying those guys are scrubs, but they're not on the same level as if you look at a lot of the stacked rosters across the NFL. That's for sure. Can Baker take a less talented wide receiving core and prop them up? If you put a good chunk of your money into Baker Mayfield, are you going to be able to get less talented pieces and him be able to win with those guys? Because Baker in his first 3 years won a lot of games in his rookie season. Baker Mayfield struggled in year 2, but even though I think that's more of a philosophy change with, of course, Freddie Kitchens. And then last year with stability, we saw what Baker Mayfield can do. So is he up next on this pay scale? I don't know. I'm not a fan of the idea of the Browns paying him. I'm actually very surprised that the Bills did this. Now, the Bills are like, you know what? We like what we see. We're moving forward. I mean, you look at what the Kansas City Chiefs did. They just said, you know what, Patrick Mahomes, we know who you are. You won an MVP. You got us and won us a Super Bowl. You got us to back-to-back Super Bowls, splitting them. We know what you do. Here's your money. I have no problem with that because they know who Patrick Mahomes is. The Bills, they feel like they know who Josh Allen is, and they're willing to take that chance. Baker Mayfield will most likely be the last of the three to get paid, but I do not believe that Baker Mayfield will get paid less than Lamar Jackson. I still think that the Ravens, I mean, look at this. Patrick Mahomes wins an MVP. Boom, he's paid instantly. Wins a Super Bowl, that definitely helped. But Patrick Mahomes, you knew what you got. I don't think that, I think if you are the Browns and if you are the Ravens, and this is where I want you guys to chime in, which team has more question marks about their quarterback? Which team feels better about their quarterback? Now, again, this sounds crazy. Lamar Jackson's won way more games than Baker. Lamar Jackson has won an MVP. Lamar Jackson has more athleticism and more talent than Baker Mayfield, but is he the better quarterback? I don't think so. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds weird, but when you draft a quarterback, you draft a quarterback for what they could do with their arm. I kept hearing so much from Bills fans. I didn't know that Bills fans listened to shows in Dayton, Ohio, but somehow, some way, there were some Bills fans that caught the show one day when I was bringing up comparing the numbers between Baker Mayfield and, of course, Josh Allen. Now, take a look at this. It's interesting. Josh Allen gets paid big time today, but Baker Mayfield has more passing yards. Baker Mayfield has more passing touchdowns. Baker Mayfield is right up there, has a higher, completion percentage. Baker Mayfield's not better than Josh Allen, but Baker Mayfield is right up there with Josh Allen. I know that the haters don't want to admit that. Bengals fans, you don't want to even look at Baker Mayfield and give him any kind of props whatsoever. Baker Mayfield is not better than Josh Allen. Baker Mayfield is a much better quarterback than people give him credit for. But the one thing that people were trying to harp on me right away when it came to this comparison between Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen was, well, of course, you conveniently leave out the rushing stats. I think that that's awesome that Josh Allen can provide so much oomph offensively with what he could do with his legs. We talk about this all the time. We talk about Lamar Jackson and his running ability as if, oh, man, you got to be careful. He's going to get hurt. Josh Allen runs and we're like, hell yeah, man, he brings a lot more to the table. No. My views on running quarterbacks are the same, no matter who they are. Lamar Jackson, I don't want to invest a lot of money into a running quarterback. That's your investment. You want to protect them. You want to keep them healthy. You want to keep them upright. And Lamar Jackson runs into the damage. Josh Allen runs into the damage. If you want running stats, if you want rushing stats, draft a running back, sign a running back. Oh, Baker Mayfield, he doesn't rush the way Josh Allen. Baker Mayfield has Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I wouldn't run him either. In fact, if Lamar Jackson had Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, I would make sure that Lamar Jackson doesn't make plays with his legs unless he absolutely has to. So I don't care that Josh Allen can make plays with his legs more than Baker Mayfield. You want rushing yards, get a running back. The Bills don't have a running back, so they have to rely on him to run the ball. You know, Ingram, of course, was with the Ravens. They get J.K. Dobbins. They have an okay run game. They still rely on the legs of Lamar Jackson. If you have to rely on your running back, or if you have to rely on your quarterback to get you more rushing stats than your running back to win football games, that's not a safe game plan. And until I see a team win a Super Bowl that way and win a Super Bowl consistently doing it that way, I would rather stick with the quarterback who could drop back, make plays with his arms, hand off to the running back, get yards on the ground, get chunk yards that way, get the receivers involved, everything Baker does. Got to reiterate, Baker's not better than Josh Allen. Josh Allen deserved the money that he got today. I'm focusing now on Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield. I need to know. I'm going to step away for a few moments. I know it sounds crazy. Okay? I know it sounds crazy. Lamar Jackson's won an MVP. He's won a ton of games. He plays for the Baltimore Ravens. They win the AFC North every year. But who's the better overall quarterback? Baker Mayfield or Lamar Jackson? Which quarterback situation is better? Baltimore's or Cleveland's? Josh Allen, he's locked up. He's solid. He's good in Buffalo. Next up, Baker Mayfield or Lamar Jackson? Which team feels better about their quarterback situation? Is it the Baltimore Ravens, who won a ton of games, who have an MVP quarterback? Or is it the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield? I feel like you know more of who Baker Mayfield is than you know who Lamar Jackson is. Lamar Jackson won an MVP because people get enamored with new things. We get excited when we see Lamar Jackson doing things that we haven't seen since Michael Vick, right? So we fell in love with it. We gave him an MVP and realized, oh crap, the dude can't throw. That's kind of an important trait for a quarterback, don't you think? The Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, which franchise do you believe should feel better about their quarterback situation moving forward? I bring these two teams up because as we sit here right now, the Bills just paid Josh Allen. The Browns and the Ravens, they're up next. Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson. One more time. Which franchise should feel better about their quarterback situation moving forward when it comes to investing this type of heavy money? Josh Allen, on average, is going to make $43 million a season. Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, you could point out flaws in both. Which team feels better about their situation at quarterback if they have to invest $40+ million into their guy? The new number to call in, 518-1410. 518-1410. That's the new call-in number. I want to hear from you. Ravens, Browns. Give me a call during the break. We'll get you lined up, and we'll hear what you have to say on the other side. It's the Justin Kinner Show without Kev Nash today, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. We'll be back in just a moment. 518-1410.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Your weather forecast: low tonight of 67 with mostly cloudy skies, high tomorrow of 88 and partly cloudy skies. I'm Chris Harden for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane, making buying propane easy since 1952, offering budget billing and pre-buy options. Find out more at culletpropane.com.
Hold on. You want me to tell them about Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea in just 30 seconds? This is impossible. Hey, I'm Billy from Twisted Tea. How can I explain that first sip of cold, smooth, real brewed tea? So good. And the extra kick you get from just the right amount of alcohol, the twist of lemon, wait, what? We're almost out of time? Oh, shit. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Look for the bright yellow cans wherever you buy beer.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly. The real estate market is always tough, but this market, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. When the average home stays on the market just 24 days and houses routinely go for more than the listing price, who you work with matters. Realtors have the expertise, local knowledge, and personal touch to give you a competitive advantage throughout the entire home buying process. And that's something an ordinary agent could never do. So make sure your agent is a realtor. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Staples Connect has everything for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, Crayola 12-count colored pencils and 10+2 Crayola marker bonus packs and Staples 2-pack scissors are just 97 cents each. So your student won't just be ready for school. They'll be tons of drawings to hang on the fridge ready.
We're going to need a bigger refrigerator.
Visit your local Staples store or staples.com/back to school today and get more than ready for school. Ends 9/18. Limit 30 on Crayola. Limit 6 on scissors.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Hi folks, it's me again, and I'm cooking in the sun just like you are. But you know, you can still plant those trees and shrubs right now, and with proper watering, still gain a full summer's growth. We keep our garden center fully stocked all summer long with thousands of good, healthy trees, shrubs, evergreens, perennials, and annuals, because we know that some folks just can't get it all done in the spring. Also, this time of the year, there are lots of bargains all over our 6-acre nursery and greenhouses. We have potted rose bushes as low as $8.95, flats of annuals starting at $8.95, and hanging baskets starting at $6.95. We still have a great selection of Rose of Sharon, boxwoods, hydrangeas, and barberry, and lots of ponds, pottery, and statuary. So come on out to 1309 Brand Pike, and remember, we're open 7 days.
Give your home a fresh look with new flooring from Menards. Update your kitchen or bathroom with IVC sheet vinyl flooring. It's waterproof, easy to install, and comes in a variety of designs to fit your style. Save 11% on all IVC sheet vinyl flooring. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through August 7th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. Whether you want to learn Spanish for future travel plans, French to connect with extended family, or maybe German to land a new job, Babbel works because it's built around real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you'll actually use. All you need is 15 minutes a day, and you'll be on your way to confidently speaking a new language in just a few weeks. Babbel is designed by real language experts using a modern conversation-based technique that makes learning fun, engaging, and best of all, memorable. It starts by teaching you words and phrases. Then sentences gradually get more complex. Soon you're practicing short conversations about real life topics. And with 14 languages to choose from and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll be sure to learn what matters most to you. Babbel, language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
All right, we are back. I'm Justin Kinner with you here on a Friday. 518-1410. 518-1410. That's the number to call in. be a part of the conversation. Josh Allen, when you look at that back in that 2018 draft class, I mean, when you think about the faces of that quarterback class coming in, I mean, Sam Darnold, you had Josh Allen, of course, and then Lamar Jackson really wasn't a part of that conversation. I mean, Lamar Jackson, if you remember heading into that draft time, they were talking about moving him to wide receiver, right? But you had Josh Allen, who, of course, the Bills traded up to get. The Bills had made the playoffs the year before with Tyrod Taylor. They go out, and, of course, they look for a new quarterback. They didn't feel good about their situation. They move up. The Browns end up getting Tyrod Taylor. I mean, Tyrod Taylor's just been on the tail end of all these teams chasing quarterbacks. It's very funny when you look at the fact that, Tyrod Taylor goes to Cleveland, thinks he's going to have an opportunity to play. They draft Baker Mayfield. He lasts 2.5 games. Baker comes in at halftime of the Jets game, and then, of course, we haven't looked back since. Baker's durable, too. That's the one thing that is nice about Baker Mayfield is he doesn't get injured, and I've probably jinxed that. I haven't checked Twitter. He's probably on the ground right now injured, and I just jinxed it all. That's how it works. It's the curse of the Kinner. But with that being said, that was a very interesting draft class, and I think, when you look at Sam Darnold, who's already on a new team, you look at Josh Allen, who, of course, who just got his big check today. Baker Mayfield's waiting to get paid. Of course, Lamar Jackson's waiting to get paid. When you think about all the quarterbacks that were a part of that class, for these three to be the final standing, Lamar's kind of a surprise to be there, but he's the only one that's won an MVP of the bunch. And yet there's still a lot of doubts and question marks about him. Not really so much doubts about whether you could use him and win with him. Of course you can win with him, but I do think that there is a certain ceiling as far as what we think he can accomplish with his arm right now. My thing is this, is if you take the running ability away from Lamar Jackson, he's not a quarterback right now. Like, if you take the running ability away from Lamar Jackson, even if he's just a half a good a runner as what he is right now, he's not a starting quarterback right now. That's how bad his arm has been. And I will say this, is that, Baker does not come close to having the athletic ability of Lamar or even to Josh Allen. But if Baker threw the ball the way Lamar does, Baker would also be getting destroyed. Baker would also not be a quarterback in the NFL right now. So as I currently sit here and I hear people defend Lamar Jackson and say, well, how could you even criticize Lamar Jackson? The dude has won an MVP. He won an MVP because he was super exciting to watch run the ball. And as I've said before, I think it's nice when you have quarterbacks who are versatile enough to be able to make plays with their legs, but that's not like, you don't have to build your team that way. That's like saying, oh, Lamar is better than Peyton Manning because Peyton Manning couldn't make plays with his legs. Who gives a rip? If you want rushing stats, get a running back. Josh Allen's, he's a million times better than Baker. Look at all his rushing stats. Super. Baker has Nick Chubb, and he has, and he has Kareem Hunt. He doesn't need to run. I just don't understand that mindset that, oh, our quarterback's better because he can run. Super. Baker is not as good a runner as those guys, but even if he was, you have Nick Chubb, you have Kareem Hunt. You don't need to. And if you want to continue throwing your guys out there and risk getting them injured because, oh, you love showing off that they can make plays with their legs just because they're capable of it, doesn't mean that it's a smart game plan to throw them out to the wolves like that. Not a fan of it. Even if Baker could run, I wouldn't be a fan of drawing up plays to risk him getting hurt. And Baker does make a fair enough amount of plays with his legs when he has to, but that's not his game. That's not who he is. And it doesn't make him a less talented quarterback. His inconsistencies make him a less talented quarterback than Josh Allen. But as I said last year, whatever switch it was that flipped up for Baker Mayfield from week 8 until the end of the season, okay? From week 8 until the end of the season, he had the third highest QBR, he had the third most passing yards, and he had the third most touchdowns in the NFL from week 8 to the tail end of the season. The only two quarterbacks that had a better QBR, the only two quarterbacks that had more passing yards, the only two quarterbacks that had more passing touchdowns, Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, who won an MVP. The other quarterback happened to be in the Super Bowl. If they don't get banged up with injuries and COVID, they probably beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So there's that. So I'm not saying Baker Mayfield's Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, but if that is who he is, if he picks up right where he left off from week 8 to the tail end of the season, I say mock me all you want, but I mean, my goodness, the numbers don't lie. You look, Josh Allen got paid today. Does it sound weird? Does anyone else find it weird that Baker Mayfield has more passing? He has more completions. He has more passing yards. He has a better completion percentage. Does anyone else find that strange? All you guys like to do is rip Baker. And I'm not even saying he's better than Josh Allen, but it is a very weird thing when you look at the numbers and say, oh yeah, he does have more passing yards. He does have more completions. Man, his QBR, his completion percentage is better. Holy smokes, man, that's pretty impressive. It is. It's very impressive. Lamar Jackson I'm not sold on Lamar Jackson. I know you can win with him, and I know he's going to get paid. But I have to ask myself, and I think Browns fans and Ravens fans, if you're out there, I'm just curious, which organization should feel better about their quarterback situation? I say the Browns. You know what you get with Baker. You know, my thing is this: Baker can't run as good as Lamar Jackson, but Lamar can't pass as good as Baker Mayfield. And guess what you need from your quarterback? Oh, yeah, you need to pass. You need to pass. If you have a quarterback that can't run, you can get running backs to do that for you. If you have a quarterback that can't pass, what do you do then? Flea flickers? What do you do? I don't, tell me. It sounds strange saying the Browns have a better quarterback situation long-term than the Ravens do, but they do. Now, Lamar could put that criticism to rest if he comes out and all of a sudden opens up the offense and all of a sudden his arm is a part of his weaponry now and he's taking advantage of Sammy Watkins and they have the Bateman, the kid from Purdue, and all of a sudden the offense opens up. More power to him. But as of right now, from what we've seen, Josh Allen got paid he got paid moving forward for what he's done to this point. Lamar's won an MVP, still a lot of flaws. Baker's won a lot of games. He's thrown a lot of touchdowns. He's completed a lot of passes. He has thrown for a lot of yards. I think the Browns have a better quarterback situation than the Ravens. I know that sounds crazy, but you just got to take a deep dive into the numbers, and it tells you everything you need to know. So we're live on Facebook. Again, I'm Justin Kinner, hanging out with you here on a Friday. We're live on Facebook. Josh Allen gets paid, 6-year extension, $258 million over the next 6 years, $150 million of that guaranteed. It comes out to about $43 million a year. That's significant because now that is the starting gap, or that's the starting negotiation bar if you're Baker Mayfield or Lamar Jackson. And that's what's interesting about all of this. To the Facebook feed we go. Forrest on Facebook, and let me make sure everyone can read this. Again, tune in on Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show. You could jump in on the conversation. Forrest on Facebook says, I mean, he brought the Browns to a playoff game and won. I'm not questioning the talent of Baker Mayfield by any means. A lot of people are. Tommy Pennington, he goes, I think Baker is good, and I'm a Bengals fan, but with all of that around him, Baker should have top 5 numbers this year. Team is stacked, no excuses. Tommy, you're a Bengals fan. There's a lot of weird coded language in there when it comes to trying to discredit. I mean, of course, Tommy, no freaking duh. I wish I could say the words I want to say. No duh. Baker has talent around him. He should have good numbers. Yes, he should. And he did last year. What was wrong with his numbers last year? He only threw 8 interceptions. All right, he threw for over 30, he threw for a ton of yards. He threw 3,700 yards last year. What's wrong with that? For a guy that had like 5 or 6 games that he threw under 200 yards, for him to even have that many passing yards because everything, clicked at the tail end of the season. Yeah, I agree. But don't do the whole, well, he should be good. Look at all the weapons around him. Duh. Aaron Rodgers should be good. Look at that line. Look at the run game. He has the number 1 receiver in football. Oh, Patrick Mahomes. He's not that good, but he should be good because his numbers are only good because he has weapons. Yeah, that's how it works, Tommy. You need weapons around you to be good. And if you don't have weapons, you're not good. And if you have weapons, you're good. It's that simple. Moving on to the next one. Shane Rachelson on Facebook says, Baker will get paid, and I hope it's soon, because we can get him for a cheaper amount. That's a good point, and that's one reason why I was like, man, I kind of hope that the Browns move forward with paying him first, because now the bar is set at $43 a year, and I don't know if Baker's worth $43 a year, but that's going to be something we'll have to figure out what is next for the Browns. Shane on Facebook goes on to say, if Baker wins 2 playoff games or goes to a Super Bowl, he will get $290+ million. I think if we sign him now, we can get him for around $240-ish. I agree with that. I thought that Baker was going to be at that 30-32 marker now. And now because of this deal with Josh Allen, I think that the start at the lowest is 38, 39. I mean, that's why this extension for Josh Allen today is so significant. And I think that's a lot of money, $43 million a year for Josh Allen. That's a lot of money. It may not be a lot of money whenever you look at what these quarterbacks are going to be getting paid in the next couple of years. I mean, if Joe Burrow is who everyone thinks he is, which we don't know, we've seen 9.5 games from the dude, hasn't won anything, he hasn't done anything. We don't know, but we think based off potential, he's going to be one of those guys. Trevor Lawrence. By the time it gets to the negotiations for Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence and cats like that, what kind of money are we talking then? Like, that's going to be pretty insane. Ron Howard, I'm not a Mayfield fan, but would sign him over Jackson. He's going to be another RG3. I mean, look, Lamar Jackson's head and shoulders better than RG3. Lamar's a very, very good quarterback, but I don't know if he's an elite quarterback. And if you're saying he's elite because he can run, well, I can get a running back. Like, I don't care about the running ability. It's nice. It gives them a slight advantage, but it's not sustainable over a 17-game regular season in the playoffs. I'm just saying. Matt on Facebook says, as a Bengals fan, I hope the Browns give Mayfield $250 million because he's the worst quarterback in the AFC North. Matt, did you wake up this morning and say, I know I'm going to try and say the dumbest stuff possible today? He is not the worst quarterback in the AFC North. I hate to break it to you, buddy, but I think your quarterback, who's very good, is the worst quarterback in the AFC North. I really do. I really do think that Joe Burrow is the fourth best quarterback in the AFC North, and that's out of the Browns, the Bengals. 4 teams. Yeah. So thank you. Come again. All right. To the phones we go. 518-1410. The Ravens, the Browns. Which team should feel better about their current quarterback situation moving forward, especially after what we just saw the Bills do with Josh Allen? Lamar has won an MVP, and there's a weird part of me that's like, I think he might get less money than the other two. Or if they do give him that much money, that's only good for the Browns, the Steelers, and the Bengals, because I just don't see him staying healthy as each season goes on. Let's go we're in Troy. We got Charles and Troy. Charles, how are you, man?
Good. How are you doing today?
It's been a while. How are you?
Good. Hey, I think that the Browns are definitely in a better spot than the Ravens right now. And my goal is, my son's a huge Browns fan.
Mm-hmm.
He's hoping that they sign Baker, and Baker accepts like a team-friendly agreement, kind of like what Chubb just did, just for the fact that they want to build something in Cleveland, and they just don't want to be the team that everybody just gets their max and they all breaking up eventually. Does that make sense? They want to be able to pay everybody.
That's not a bad thing. And what's funny, though? Josh Allen gets paid, and the first rumors that start circulating are how Austin Hooper is most likely going to be made available for a trade coming up. And I wouldn't be surprised if Case Keenum all of a sudden, with some of the quarterback needs out there, when you look at the Colts and some of these other teams, maybe the Texans, Case Keenum could be an interesting trading piece as well if they can get a few.
And you got to realize, I think Baker wants to win, and he sees that culture in Cleveland. He knows that they want that. And the thing is that you got to realize, look at, and when I compare them to Tom Brady, it's by no means they're the same guy, okay? But I think he's seen what Brady's done for all those years. And Brady for years has never been the top quarterback in the league. But he always took the team-friendly options and terms to make the team better. Does that make sense?
No, that's what I've always said. People all the time say, man, what was the Patriot way? What was the Patriot way? The Patriot way, and people don't want to admit that because there's those people that are like, oh, no, the players deserve their money. I'm not saying they don't deserve their money, but the Patriot way is a common sense way. It's called a quarterback who deserves probably to be the highest paid quarterback in the league for a long stretch of time, taking significantly less money so that they could distribute that money elsewhere to give themselves a chance to win Super Bowls every year. And, well, there's a reason Tom Brady has 7 of them.
Yeah, and the thing is that, Baker's next contract, he's got to have so much money, and he's never going to be able to spend it all in his life, okay? Let's just think about that for a second, okay? So basically, why not make the team better, like you talk about, the Patriot way? I think Brady, to an extent, hey, he's got 7 rings. He's done that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's just I think Baker, and you remember it was the crazy commercial. It was the 50th year or the 75th year, and they did the commercial where they had all the players, all the famous players in a room, and they were the ball was a fumble, and then Brady said, hey, Baker's besides they had to hold my rings, and it was a handful of rings. Do you remember that commercial?
Yeah, I mean, it was an awesome commercial, a ton of stars there, and Baker said that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, you know what? I know that commercial, made him think, you know what, dude, I want all these things that's in my hand. That makes sense? And I'm hoping that he gets that. I'm hoping that they do that. I mean, don't get me wrong, hey, I'm more of a Bengals fan than I'm a Browns fan, but you know what? It's the whole state of Ohio as well being represented. I think that's a cool thing and stuff. But the thing is, though, he's got to have to buy in. I think he's buying it. I think that mindset, I think people look at Baker and don't always want to buy into the Baker Mayfield mentality or what Baker is. Does that make sense? I think he's probably done some shady things throughout the course of his career or did in college. Do you remember that Kansas game? Things that out well. I mean, I think people still, and the sad thing is people still remember that stuff instead of they say, just move it on. He's a totally different guy now. You know what I mean?
No, I get that, but I mean, what people don't like about Baker is also what makes Baker Baker, and it's his competitive drive and his willing to do whatever it takes to win games. Now, to be fair, if Baker does take a contract that is more than Josh Allen's, I don't think that makes him less of a competitor or whatever. I think that he has earned it. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Baker was that guy that took less. But the bottom line is, with the way things work with Baker Mayfield and the perception of Baker, no one will say, oh, man, Baker is a leader because he took less money. They're going to say, well, he got paid less money because he sucks. Like, that's what everyone's going to say, because that's just what the reaction that he draws from people is all.
He's leading by example. Chubb, I'll tell you now, Nick Chubb doesn't really talk at all. He just leads by example. I mean, that's kind of like Baker. Baker's going to be that person. If he takes less money to help the team financially with everybody, the people will see that. I mean, the thing is, he has his circle of friends, and it's all these people like yourself in the media. I hate saying it, or like on ESPN, and say, "Hey, Baker isn't as good as he is. That's why they get as much money." Blah blah blah. Like, but it's not that. I mean, he sees that. He sees that they need that. Like, look at his offensive line. They've been piecing that thing together for a couple years. It's amazing. I mean, who wouldn't want that offensive line? Who wouldn't want those weapons? Who wouldn't want to re-sign there with that stuff? And the coach is the offensive coordinator, and he has a great game plan every game. Sure, I mean, that's Baker would be, it'd be ridiculous if Baker didn't re-sign.
Oh, absolutely. No, hey, man, it was great hearing from you. It had been a while. But
nice talking to you again. See ya. Bye.
See ya. Take care. All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Josh Allen got paid today. And, of course, it's led to the conversation about, well, okay, now he got his money. We're talking about an average of $43 million a year. I'm a big Browns fan. I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan. I'm not going to lie to you. If the Browns give him $43 million or $44 million, $45 million, $40 million, I don't know how I feel about that. The one thing that's interesting about Baker is the same thing I find interesting about Josh Allen is they each have one great season. Technically, Baker had a great rookie year, a much better rookie year than Josh Allen had. Josh Allen took a big step in year 2 and then built on that in year 3. There was no blip on the radar. Josh Allen has gotten better as each season has gone on. Baker Mayfield, record-setting rookie season, broke Peyton Manning's touchdown record. Then takes a step back. He regresses. Now, I still think that has more to do with Freddie Kitchens than anything. I don't think that Baker Mayfield just magically learned football from one year to the next. It was being put in a position to succeed, and it wasn't just a Baker issue. It was an entire Cleveland Browns issue. So the fact that they won 13 total games last year, including a playoff game on the road at Pittsburgh with their coach sitting in his basement because he had COVID, I mean, my goodness, you look at the hurdles that they had to jump over last year, and they're even better this year. That was with one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They now arguably have possibly the best secondary in football when you look at the guys that they went over and got from the Rams. So my big thing is this, is like Baker Mayfield, like if you're the Cleveland Browns, you're taking a gamble here. Do you pay him now with what Josh Allen just got paid? Or do you let Baker Mayfield pick up where he left off? Keep in mind, you could say what you want about Baker Mayfield. And let me jump into this. Brad Mays, what up, Brad? Brad says Baker Mayfield had the 10th best QBR in the league last year, second best in the AFC North. And you look at a lot of the success that he has had, and you look at those numbers. I said this earlier. Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, from week 8 until the tail end of the season, the only two quarterbacks that had more passing yards, more completions, and more touchdowns and higher QBR, Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. That's it. Those are the only two quarterbacks that had higher everything than Baker Mayfield the final half of last season. And if he picks up where he left off, now you're talking about a guy who could potentially be in the MVP conversation. Now you're talking about a guy that could potentially make a deep playoff run. And now you're talking about a guy that's going to have to be paid well north of $43 million a year, which is what Josh Allen is getting. So you have to ask yourself, if you're the Browns, do you take a chance and let him have a near MVP level season and have to pay him way more? Or do you pay him now because right now the bar's set at 43? If you pay him right now, I don't think you have to give him 43. I think if you're the Browns, you could play dumb. Andrew Berry could say, well, remember that second year? You weren't so sharp that second year. We still have our doubts. We still have our concerns. You could still play off that second year struggle. But if Baker has, if he builds on last year's great season with a even better season this year, now the Browns are in a situation where they have to pay him up in that Dak Prescott, up in that Josh Allen, up in that Patrick Mahomes range, and Deshaun Watson, and that. Right now, you can get away with paying him less. I think you risk having to pay him way more if you let him pick up where he left off last season, which is a good thing because that means you're going to have a chance to win games. Tommy Pennington, Baker has one of the best running games in the league. Tommy Pennington, do me a favor. Explain what that has to do with anything. What does that have to do with anything? Are you saying that Baker is succeeding because he has talent around him? Duh. That's the whole concept of sports. Can you name me a quarterback on a team that doesn't have talent that we are hyping up right now? I'll wait. I know that you as a Bengals fan are used to propping up a quarterback with no expectations to win or do anything, but that's not how we regular people do things. Baker Mayfield has great receivers. He has a great offensive line. He has running backs. Now he has arguably the best secondary in the league. You're trying to, every time we say Baker Mayfield did something well, you try to water it down with, yeah, but he had this. Yeah, but he had that. Yeah, but yeah, he had an offensive line and he played a full season. Your quarterback does not have an offensive line and he's still trying to get comfortable walking again. So I don't know what you want me to say. I really don't. Don't know what you want me to say. He has one of the best running games in the league. Super. What does that have to do with anything? Doesn't take away from the fact that he's winning ball games. Aaron Rodgers has a 1,000-yard running back, has a great offensive line, has a solid defense, has the number one wide receiver in the league. When he won an MVP last year, Tommy, were you saying, well, he shouldn't have won the MVP. He has the best receiver in the national football. No, you just said, man, that's a pretty good quarterback. But your hatred for Baker is clouding your judgment, and you're saying silly things. That's all. All right. Brad Mays also brings up a great point. Josh Allen has been in the same offense all 3 years, unlike Baker, which is exactly why when you look at the growth of Josh Allen, when you look at his rookie season, okay, solid, even better in year 2, even better in year 3. And yet here he goes heading into year 4 and he's paid well. If Baker Mayfield would have built off of what he did his rookie season and then had success in year 2, and then capped it off with last year's playoff run, Baker Mayfield would actually be getting paid more than Josh Allen. But Baker Mayfield had 4 head coaches in 2 years or 3 years or whatever it was. This is the first time where he's entering an offseason that he is not relearning an offense. He's picking up where he left off. There's some comfort. There's a comfort level here when it comes to that. And David M. on YouTube, he goes, I feel there are legit questions about both Baker and Lamar. Baker, it's just proving the improvement he showed second half of last year is who he really is. Jackson, I still don't believe in his arm as a passer. David, I couldn't agree with you more. That's why I said earlier, if the Browns paid him $43 million right now, I would still be I'd be nervous. I would be nervous because it's like, I know what he's capable of. We saw it last year. But Jared Goff had some amazing numbers his first couple years in the league. Then he got paid, and then he regressed. And now he's in Detroit. So, so I'm with you. I agree 1,000,000%. I think that the Browns are dragging their feet on this because I think that they believe in Baker. I think they know what he's capable of. I think that they want to commit to him, but I think they want to be smart. And Andrew Berry's a smart dude, and maybe they do end up paying him before training camp ends. But there's a good chance that that's not the case, that they fold the negotiation conversations for now and let Baker's play do the talking. But if you let Baker's play do the talking, you risk exposing your team not having a good quarterback, or you risk having an MVP level quarterback that now you have to pay even more. So there's a lot of decisions that Andrew Berry has to make, but I think Andrew Berry has absolutely crushed it. So there you go. Scott Campbell, don't worry. We'll talk Reds today. He goes, let's go Reds. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you do as well. All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. We'll dive more into that coming up around the corner. Browns and Bengals both back at camp today. Joe, good news as far as Joe Burrow's concerned. I know there was a lot of chatter about, him being worried about his knee, being worried about his leg. He's back in pads, helmet on, pads on. I haven't read any updates as far as how he looks in camp today. I'll continue to keep an eye out for that. I'm sure some of you have been following that. Hopefully it's not going to be a lingering thing where he is mentally not confident stepping to the line of scrimmage, whether it be in a 7-on-7 or 11-on-11. on 11. We'll be back in a moment. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. The phone lines are back open. I open them during the commercial break, and then I close them when we come back on. So if you've tried to call and haven't been able to get through, that's why. They're back open now. 518-1410. I'll be back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
This is a big deal. Now, at healthcare.gov, millions more people can afford health coverage. Due to the COVID relief law, 4 out of 5 customers can get a plan for under $10 a month with financial help. From doctor visits to preventive services to prescription drugs, these are quality plans. You can do this. Sign up by August 15th for a health plan. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hey there, it's CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger with an inside track on a company that could save your family over $800 a year on a basic service everyone needs, H2O Wireless. If you're with Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, H2O Wireless gives you the exact same coverage as one of those, but at half the price. That's right, H2O Wireless uses the same network, same towers. You can even keep your phone and number because switching is as easy as swapping a SIM card. Right now, get unlimited talk, text, and 15 gigs of data for just $36 a month. And if you want a new phone, H2O Wireless has huge savings on the latest iPhones and Androids. Here's what you need to do. Pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say keyword get H2O. When you do, you'll save 50% off your first month. Again, dial pound 250 and say keyword get H2O, and your family could start saving over $800 a year today.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Today's pros need today's tools, and nobody understands that better than the Home Depot. Our app makes it simpler to get supplies ordered and delivered. Our online project calculators cut guesswork and last-second supply runs. Job site delivery puts what you need where and when you need it. And rental puts the right equipment in your hands, but not your overhead. That's how today's pros get more done. New tech, new tools, old-fashioned hard work. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Are you one of the millions of homeowners who haven't refinanced yet? If so, I'm here to tell you it's not too late. Hi, I'm Wesley Hogan with Westland Financial. Although the lowest rates may be in our rearview mirror, as the economy recovers from the biggest economic shock of our lifetime, rates still remain near historic lows. In fact, with the dramatic increase in home values, this may be the perfect time to put that new home equity to work. Take advantage of our cash out refi program and pay off high rate credit cards, car loans, or other high interest rate debt. Or finally make those home improvements you put on hold for so long. Best of all, we can do this with no closing costs. That's right, whether it's a conventional, FHA, or VA loan, we'll pay for your title, settlement, lender, and recording fees. So call Westland at 888-455-3669. That's 888-455-3669. It's the biggest no-brainer in the history of mankind. 888-455-3669.
Paid for by Westland Financial. NMLS number 3304. Not all loans apply. Equal housing lender.
Greatness. It's not born of coincidence. It's not a product of luck. It's forged through dedication, drills, and the acquisition of new skills. Wanting won't get you there, but sweat equity just might.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street wants to wish the Dayton Flyers Red Scare the best of luck in their journey through the basketball tournament. Wear red, be loud, go Flyers!
Ahoy! Ahoy! Yoo-hoo! Ahoy!
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 Ahoy there!
Ahoy!
Ahoy!
Times can turn quick on the water. Progressive's boat insurance has you covered with basic plans starting at $100 a year. Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Annual premium for a basic liability policy not available in all states. Prices vary based on how you buy.
If you're worried about your borderline blood pressure, hear how others are taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
Garlic works safely and naturally to support my blood pressure.
Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula has a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals, so you know it works.
No garlic taste, no garlic breath.
Take charge of your blood pressure with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, the Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner hanging out with you here on a Friday. We got Reds baseball coming up later on tonight. Game 2 between the Reds and the Pirates. The Reds come away with a big win last night. Again, still a little frustrating that down the stretch, even when you have such a large lead, that the one issue that they addressed at the deadline was the bullpen, but yet the bullpen is still what keeps us, holding our breath in late game situations against bad teams. Against bad teams when we have large leads, but nonetheless, I got to just learn to adapt and realize that this team is not going to win pretty, that they're going to win a lot of ugly games, but at least they're winning. That's all you can ask for as we currently sit here. So I said earlier, I was, Joe Burrow back at camp today. Zach Taylor, and I thought it was a smart move. I don't say that often about Zach Taylor, but he gave Joe Burrow the day off 2 days ago on Wednesday. That was built in purposely because the Bengals had an off day yesterday. And that gave him back-to-back off days, and they're hoping just to kind of gradually bring him back, and they don't want to overwork him. So he's back at camp today, but in those 2 days off, there was a lot of players who had made comments that, he's still iffy on his knee. And he's not confident stepping into the pocket, stepping into throws when guys drop back. Like he looks comfortable in 7-on-7, but in the 11-on-11 is when he starts to look a little uncomfortable when anyone gets around him. And I don't blame him. I mean, my goodness, you just had your whole knee reconstructed. Of course, you're going to be a little iffy when guys come around you. And this is what people do, though. Like, if I say, man, he hasn't looked sharp, people get mad and say, yeah, but he's coming off of it. I know he's coming off of that surgery. And I'm not saying I don't care that he's coming off that surgery, but if you are on the field and you are performing, you are now open to criticism just like you're open to praise. And if you're not playing well, no matter what the reason is, there you go. I mean, was anybody saying when Baker was playing bad that, yeah, well, he has Freddie Kitchens as a coach and there's no stability there? No, everyone was just saying Baker sucks. No one wanted to hear about why Baker was struggling. It was just Baker sucks. But when Joe Burrow struggles, it's a laundry list of excuses. No O-line, his knees reconstructed. Frank Pollock's doing his thing, trying to get everybody. Stop. I think Joe Burrow will be fine. It's going to take some time for him to get comfortable out there. But as of right now, it's not looking good. Here is Jay Morrison with the update from Bengals camp today. Again, Joe Burrow back out on the field, which is a good thing. I will take Joe Burrow struggling out on the field in camp right now over being told, oh, he's not going to play for the first half of the season. So relax. It's fine. He's going to have to play through some of these struggles as he tries to learn how to trust his leg again. So with that being said, the same struggles that existed in week 1 of training camp are now heavily involved in week 2. And he is, of course, back out there today. So this is according to Jay Morrison about 20 minutes ago. First 3 plays of 11 on 11 today. Jackson Carman, false start. Riley Reif and Boyd, both false start. And then the third play, Joe Burrow, incomplete pass to Jamar Chase on a slant. So that's where we're at as far as that goes. But Trey Waynes and Riley Reif are back at work today. I know that Riley Reif had missed some time, and of course, a lot of people were concerned about that. I would be as well. Riley Reif missing time would not be a concern to me if they really did rehaul that offensive line, like to add depth. People keep thinking that the Bengals have depth at offensive line. You have options. You don't have depth. Depth, I mean, the Browns have depth at offensive line. They can plug and play a lot of guys that they have on that depth chart. The Bengals have a lot of guys. They have a lot of options. They don't have a lot. They have a lot of guys to pick from. They don't have depth. You have guys with numbers on the back of their jerseys to fill out a line and to fill out a box score, but they don't have depth. That's why it's concerning. I just thought that they should have been more aggressive. I know you've never heard me say that before, but I believe they should have been more aggressive as far as that goes. So that's the update we have so far from camp. Again, Joe Burrow back out there, regardless of the reports coming from camp about his struggles. At the end of the day, him being out there is a positive. And that's what I keep trying to tell Bengals fans. Stop getting mad at me reading the reports from camp. I am just reading what the reporters who are at camp are saying, and they are saying he is struggling. He's missing receivers, overthrowing and underthrowing Jamar Chase. That's not my opinion. I'm not waking up and saying, man, I feel like he's underthrowing Jamar Chase. I feel like he's overthrowing. No, he is missing Jamar Chase. Simple as that. Stop getting angry. Stop being snowflake Bengals fans. I've been telling you that all week. Stop it. My Twitter blows up. Everyone gets mad at me because I'm reading what's happening at Bengals camp. I don't know what else to tell you. So here's an update from Browns camp. Jarvis Landry getting a day off. Coaching staff has been very mindful of workloads in camp. I don't know what that means, workloads in camp. I mean, these are guys in their prime. They're professional athletes, and they're getting off days a week into camp. Like I thought, and maybe it's, and people will just say I'm hating on the Bengals because it's the Bengals, but why did they need an off day yesterday? Well, I'm being kind of serious here. These are professional athletes. They had 1 day in pads. So that means like there was no physicality at all to the practices of camp in the early going. Wednesday was the first day that they put pads on. And then they got Thursday off. I just don't get that. I don't understand. These are professional athletes. They are go to your local Y or your local gym. You think you see premier athletes. They are nothing compared to what these NFL players are. Why are they getting off days? I get if you want to give a couple of players an off day here or there, like managing Joe Burrow coming off of an injury, Riley Rafe being a little bit of an older, O-lineman. But we're talking about giving the entire team off. This is after ending OTAs early when you're the Bengals. So I just don't get that. As far as Jarvis Landry goes, I don't even know if I agree with that. Talking about, they're trying to be cognizant of workload. What are you talking about, workload? They had an entire offseason. Training camp just starts. You're a weekend, and you're giving people days off to manage workload. I just don't get it. I am curious. Centerville, Wayne, Springfield, Northmont, Dunbar, Trotwood. I'm just curious. Teams out there, are high schoolers getting off days? I mean, I'm being kind of serious here. I could be wrong, and I probably am. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. I'm not sure that Jeff Graham is giving Trotwood off day. I mean, you waited all summer to get to camp starting, to get to preseason. Are they getting off days? They might have lighter practices. I don't believe that high schoolers are getting off days during the preseason. Why are the Bengals giving them off days? Explain to me. And this doesn't have to be an anti-whatever. I'm just curious. I just want to know. I'm being serious. I'm saying this about the Browns as well. Why are we giving them off days? Because I'm pretty sure that all offseason, the Centerville Elks and the Wayne Warriors and the Springfield Wildcats and the Northmont and all those teams, Trotwood, Dunbar, CJ, you go to Alter. Is Alter giving one hell of a high school program there. I don't think that Coach Domsites is giving his guys off days. Why are NFL teams giving their guys off days in training camp? Didn't we hear last year that, man, everyone was such at a disadvantage because they didn't have their traditional camps, that it took longer to get everyone acclimated because they were off, basically, right? I just don't get it. Maybe I'm just, being typical Kinner here, but I don't get it. It is what it is. Philip Lassiter on YouTube. This is from Philip, not from me. He says, Bengals fans, RELAX, you're still going to suck this year. I don't think they're going to. Phil, you're going to get me in trouble. See what you did? Jake Whiting says, I guess maybe, and this is on Facebook. He goes, I guess maybe because they have a 17-game season now, so an extra game makes the season longer. So for longevity, I don't know. I know what you're saying, Jake, but I don't see how I know what you are saying. Again, there's a lot more to account for now with that extra week of the regular season. I know it's like 17 games, but it's really 18 weeks now. But you give your guys off days maybe later in the season. I mean, I've heard how many people say that by the time you get to September, there's no more. You're not hitting in practice anymore. You save all the hitting for game day. You're not hitting in practice anymore. So I just don't get it. I still, yesterday the headline was Joe Burrow struggles. So I didn't even really think about the fact that they had the day off. But now that I'm thinking about it mid-conversation, I'm like, these are the premier athletes. They are the top of the line, most physically gifted dudes in the world. And they got an off day 1 week into training camp, and they only had pads on for 1 day on Wednesday. That's soft. That's soft. People make fun of the NBA today. Oh, today they couldn't last in the 90s. You have guys getting off days after 1 day of wearing pads. That's soft to me. Tommy Pennington says Taylor and Mike Brown, and he has a trash can emoji with another crappy emoji. So there you go. Brian says you can thank LeBron for sitting out days. LeBron actually was not sitting out days. LeBron was playing every day until he got injured. LeBron was actually the one taking shots at that Kawhi Leonard and others. LeBron is not actually a part of the resting guys crowd as far as that goes. So Tommy Pennington says Chargers and Chiefs, also Browns, all fixed offensive line in the offseason. What's that in reference to? The Browns didn't fix the offense. I mean, the offensive line, they brought it back. Elaborate, Tommy. I'm curious. Brian says, I'm told this year they switched Burrow's white uniform to green. This way you can't tell how many times he was sacked. Exactly. I mean, you might as well not even wash it then, right? I remember when I was in high school, because I was a bench player, and I thought I was joking, and I'm always a smart ass about everything. I remember making my coach angry because I had the nerve we were walking down a hallway, and I'm awkward. I'm very I don't know how I talk on the mic for 3 hours a day and work in a communications-led type business here, but I am socially awkward. I don't know how to talk to people. Like when I run into people and they say, hey, how are you? I'm like, I'm good. How are you? It stops there. There's not a whole lot going on up here. And we get off the bus. We're walking down this long hallway to go back to the locker room. I don't know what to say to my coach. I'm ticked off. He didn't play me. And I said, well, the good news is I don't have to wash my jersey, coach. And he didn't laugh at all. And I'm like, well, you're a fuddy-duddy. I mean, that was a funny joke. I mean, there are perks to not playing. I don't have to wash my jersey now, right? No, he held that against me. They almost cut me the next year because he said I had a crappy attitude. So that's a good one about Joe Burrow. You might as well just make his jersey green from the get-go. You won't have to worry about it. All right, hour one is officially in the book. So we'll step away for a few moments. We'll pick up with this on the other side. More Browns and Bengals camp updates. So there you go. So where are we at? Oh, yeah, Nash jumping in. He's doing the blood pressure medicine stuff. I'm 5 coffees into today. I'm doing just fine. Brian on Facebook says, I can't wait to see the defense for Cleveland this year. This is going to be a big year for Miles. I agree it's going to be a big year for everybody. Jake Whiting says, also, Jay Morrison just reported out guards are getting blown up by Josh. So, look, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here because I'm saying that it's camp. It's big picture. It doesn't matter. But right now it matters because it's where they're at within a week and a half in now. I mean, it's Friday, folks. We're a week and a half into this. And it sounds like they're getting worse, not better. You got preseason games coming up around the corner. I think you have to ask yourself, I'm not a fan of playing Joe Burrow in the preseason. I wouldn't play him at all. But if these struggles continue in practice, I do believe you have to get them out there for a few series because I think you need to try to iron out some of these issues on the field. And maybe it is because the defense knows exactly what's coming, but every team goes through that. So I'm just curious, if these struggles continue, is that going to force Zach Taylor's hand in having to play Joe Burrow during the preseason? I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. We'll be back in a moment.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
As much as we say we love nature, when it comes to bugs, not so much. When it comes to trees, the Ohio chapter of the International Society of Arboriculture wants you to know that most insects are not harmful to trees, especially if their populations are small. There are exceptions to that, but don't forget, every insect has a predator that's just looking to make it a meal. So sometimes it's just good to let nature take care of itself. If you're concerned about insects in your trees, find an ISA certified arborist near you at treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up? We'll help you find everything you need to do the job right. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Pennzoil high mileage motor oil and an STP oil filter for just $28.99. And you can get it all fast, your way. Just order online with our free same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Start your job today at AutoZone.com. Restrictions apply.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
One Night with Emmylou Harris and Los Lobos. Together live tomorrow night, Rose Music Center at the Heights. Same night, same stage. Emmylou Harris. Los Lobos live. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com and the Rose Music Center box office.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
For the ones going above and beyond. For the ones reaching out, helping out, and lending a hand. For the ones people count on. You can count on Grainger. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, backed by 24/7 customer support and specialists to help with hard-to-find products. Because you've got everyone's back. We've got yours. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's like I blinked and suddenly all my business shifted to e-commerce.
Now my business hours are whenever my customers need me.
My customers want everything now and faster than ever. It's a whole different world.
Your business is changing. The United States Postal Service is changing with it. We're bringing you fast, reliable shipping nationwide, and we're bringing it right when your customers need it. Let's discover new routes. Visit USPS.com/new routes. The United States Postal Service. Priority you.
Have you ever thought about having a podiatric physician examine your feet? Doctors of podiatric medicine set broken bones, perform wound care, and remove bunions. Common health issues that they treat include ingrown or fungal nails, corns, warts, and skin problems like athlete's foot. Foot exams are easy and can prevent many problems. If you can't walk, work, or enjoy sports activities without pain, what are you waiting for? To find a podiatric physician who is a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Over the last year and a half, we all learned some hard lessons. One of the most important is that you can't put off the inevitable. Hi, this is Mark Davis at Dayton Memorial Park Cemetery and Mausoleums. No matter how hard it is to think about, we all need a final resting place. When pre-planning with your funeral home, please remember that cemetery arrangements must also be made. Call us today at 937-890-1831 or visit our website at DaytonMemorialPark.com. And remember, Dayton Memorial Park is a beautiful place to celebrate life.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
We're live. We're local. What are you gonna miss? Struck him up. We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner hanging out with you here on a Friday. We kick things off here in hour number 2, picking up right where we left off. Of course, NFL training camp, Browns and Bengals, back at it today. And one question I threw out earlier, in the loss of, in the back and forth, that something clicked with me. We make fun of the NBA all the time because all these players, they keep working out, working on deals to get extra rest days. They want extra off days. I mean, Kawhi Leonard in his contract negotiated X amount of games off, that he could pick X amount of games to just sit out, not play. And that's ridiculous to me. I think that's absolutely mind-boggling. And everyone's like, well, he's doing it to keep from getting injured. Oh, the same guy that rested all season and by the way, they played 72 games this year, not 82. So they played 10 less games. They had more days off between games than most regular seasons. He took off 10 games contractually on top of the 20 plus games he missed due to being injured. And now he's out for all of next year too. So how's that load management working? How's that load management working? People like to blame LeBron James. LeBron James is the face of getting guys to team up to win championships, even though I don't understand. That's what the whole concept of sports is. Go get the best players possible, go win championships. I think that if players, back in the day, when you look at the 80s and 90s, players didn't say, I want to win it the hard way. They just had more restrictions on going to get guys. And when people say things like, Magic Johnson, those guys didn't, they played, they didn't have to form super teams. Well, they were fortunate to be drafted into very good situations. Magic Johnson was drafted to the Lakers. It's easy to be a part of a super team with they were the Showtime Lakers. How is that not a super team? Bad teams, average teams don't get nicknames. The Showtime Lakers. That sounds pretty super to me. The Bulls are arguably, not arguably, they are the most dominant what do you want to call that? When you look at how they won all those championships in the 90s, never seen anything like it. When you look at all the dynasties in the history of sports, they were the most dominant dynasty in the history of sports. No question. You don't do that on an average team. You don't do that on just you do that on a super team. And I've said this before, that the players haven't got softer since the 90s, that teams have got worse at managing rosters. When you look at the Lakers and you have the Showtime Lakers back in the day, yes, they made some trades for some guys too. They also traded. They also signed free agents. But a lot of those guys were drafted. Magic Johnson was drafted. But he also got drafted to a good situation. So those Lakers teams, that's a good organization. They win championships every decade. That's a good organization. So no, Magic Johnson didn't have to go form super teams. He was drafted to a super team. The Bulls had good ownership, whether you want to admit it or not. They had good ownership. Okay. So with that good ownership, they drafted well. They drafted Pippen. They went out and they got, Phil Jackson. They put the right pieces. MJ didn't not leave the Bulls because, he's just more loyal. He didn't leave the Bulls because he didn't have to. Michael, all this NBA free agency this week, everyone mad about the Lakers getting Dwight Howard again and Russell Westbrook, and all everyone does is try to talk, just explain how everyone's so bad. I don't get it. I don't understand why everyone likes to label these athletes today as soft in the NBA because, well, they form super teams. They form super teams because they all play on crappy organizations. This is why I hate the whole concept of the draft. I hate that you reward the best talent in college by sending them to the worst situation possible, and then you want them to succeed in bad circumstances, and then when they don't, you say that they're soft. Michael Jordan got drafted by a bad organization at the time in the Bulls. They turned into a good organization because they went out and they got the right players. They drafted the right players. They got the right coaches. And it took a lot of losing for MJ before he finally got it right. There was a lot of burning, before you got that perfect chocolate chip cookie, you know how many cookies had to be burnt to get that perfect chocolate chip cookie? People act like the first damn cookie that Michael Jordan put in the oven came out perfect. No. The Bulls had to learn how to be a good organization. And they did it very quickly. They drafted well. They put a lot of good pieces around MJ. So MJ didn't not leave the Bulls because he was loyal. He didn't leave the Bulls because he didn't have to. LeBron James gave the Cleveland Cavaliers 7 years before he went to the Miami Heat because he said, listen, I got to take my legacy into my own hands. If the Cavs aren't going to do for me what the Bulls did for MJ, what the Lakers did for Magic, what the Celtics did for Larry Bird, if my organization's not going to do for me what those legends organizations did for them, I got to bounce. I got to go put my legacy in my own hands. So explain to me why this is on them. Why are they bad people? Why is LeBron James horrible for forming super teams? It's called taking your legacy in your own hands. Michael Jordan was not loyal to the Bulls. He didn't leave the Bulls because he didn't have to. Like that, it's as simple as that. Do you think if the Bulls never won championships in the 90s that Michael would have stayed a Chicago Bull? No. Would Michael Jordan have just hung around and lost in the Eastern Conference Finals No, he would have left. He didn't leave because he had everything he needed. They provided it for him. And if the Chicago Bulls would have went out and got, and again, Ben Wallace, when you look at what the Cavaliers gave LeBron James, they got him an old Ben Wallace, an old Shaquille O'Neal. They got him pieces that didn't make sense. I mean, if McGinnis, I forgot McGinnis's first name. If McGinnis and Eric Snow and those guys are the best that you could do for LeBron James, no wonder he left. That's what I don't understand is why people hold that against him. Kevin Durant goes to the OKC Thunder. They have Russell Westbrook, and then, of course, they had James Harden at the time. They get in Serge Ibaka and Scott Brooks, great coach, and Kevin Durant really liked him. So Kevin Durant's the face of that finals team, right? And rather than that organization continuing to build around Kevin Durant, the organization took James Harden away. They took Serge Ibaka away. They fired Scott Brooks, Kevin Durant's favorite coach. They took all of those. So rather than building onto a championship team, all the good pieces they drafted, they traded away. They got rid of. So, of course, Kevin Durant left. I had no problem with Kevin Durant leaving. I had a problem with him going to the Warriors. That I'll always, be on that side. But stop. If you are one of them old curmudgeons, the back in my day, basketball was tougher and blah, blah, blah. Stop. You're fooling yourself. The players aren't softer today. The organizations are worse today because the organizations aren't trying to win championships. They're trying to make money by spending as little money as possible. And the organizations that are willing to spend money, that's why the stars are going there. That's why LA, whether it's the Clippers or the Lakers, they keep going there. The Cavaliers aren't trying to win anything. I have no clue what the purpose of the Cleveland Cavaliers are. Get rid of them. And that pains me to say because I grew up watching the Cavs, but technically I grew up watching LeBron James. Otherwise, I would not have turned it. Jeff McGinnis, Tommy Pennington, thank you. At the end of the day, for me, I get so irritated when people start ripping today's players saying, oh, they're soft. They have to team up to win championships. Yes. And now it's not them being soft. Like, for instance, if you look at Kevin Durant and you look at James Harden, you look at Kyrie Irving, when that team's healthy, no one's beating them. As much money as the Lakers just spent and as many pieces as they threw together in that roster, they're not beating that Nets team. But that's what they had to load up that roster as much as possible to give themselves a chance. Because if they try, and by the way, Giannis Antetokounmpo, congratulations on winning an NBA championship. But if your game plan is, well, we just need the Nets to be injured, we just need LeBron to be injured. If the Phoenix Suns game plan is, well, hopefully next year's Lakers team is injured too. Hopefully next year's Jazz team is injured again too. Hopefully next year's Clippers team is. Did you notice that the two teams who did it the right way that got to the finals this year, the two teams that did it the right way had to rely on other teams getting hurt? If your game plan is hoping that the good teams get hurt for you to have a chance, that's not a game plan. That's soft to me. Why do you get mad at the organizations that take their legacy and they take their future into their own hands? I respect that the Lakers do what they do. I respect that the Miami Heat, I respect that they do what they do. I respect that the Clippers are doing everything they can to get stars to go play there, to go at the evil Empire Lakers, right? You know, we're Reds fans around here. I can't stand how lazy the front office is with trying to get good players to come here. Now, you could say free agents aren't coming here. Look how many good players come here and want to stay here, but they don't even try. Trevor Bauer said he would have stayed in Cincinnati if they would have matched the offer that the Dodgers gave him. They didn't even try. But yet we get mad when the stars go team up with the good team. Well, the good teams are the teams that are spending money, so naturally they gravitate there. I don't even know why I went on this tirade right now, but I just started reading some comments on my Facebook page, and it got me really irritated. People ripping LeBron James. I'm like, what are you mad? Like this whole LeBron James saga of why he's the most hated athlete. And if you like him because he has political views that you disagree with, okay, fine. Just say, I don't like LeBron James because of his political views and leave it at that. But when you start saying stupid things like, well, because I don't like his political views, I think he's a crappy basketball player, now you sound stupid. Now you sound dumb. Oh, LeBron James, I don't like who he voted for, so he's a horrible basketball player. That's dumb. Now, if you say he's a great player, I just don't support who he votes for, okay, that's a fine statement to make. But you sound dumb when you dislike somebody and you say they're bad at their job just because you dislike them. Now you sound kind of foolish. Now I can't take you serious. Now we can't have a serious conversation, so we move on. But last thing on this, just to recap before I move on. I get tired of when people say, oh, these players are just chasing championships. It's a soft era. You have to look at that Nets team. So if Giannis, and by the way, let's be clear here. Giannis has a championship. Okay. It took, and the Suns were in the finals. It took the Nets being injured. Okay. It took a lot. It took Philadelphia being injured and banged up. It took a lot of took a lot of great teams better than the Bucks to be injured for them to get there. It took a lot of banged up teams for the Suns to get to the finals. There's a reason that the Suns and the Bucks are not even in the top 3 championship favorites next year. It's because they were not even the 2 best teams in the NBA this year. Oh, well, they were the 1 seed, or the Suns were the 1 or the 2 seed. The seeding doesn't matter anymore because of, players taking days off and stuff. That's more of a concern to me. I have more of an issue with players taking off days more than I do teaming up to win championships. We used to say all the time, I hate Carmelo Anthony because he doesn't care about winning. All he cares about is the money. He goes to a bad Knicks organization because he wants the money. If he really cared about winning, he would have gone to the Lakers or wherever. That's what we used to say. Growing up, we would destroy players for chasing the money. Now players take less money to go win championships, and now we say they're soft? I don't get that. Remember, Kobe Bryant was the most selfish player in the history of the world because he signed that mega deal with the Lakers, and everyone said, oh, of course, now the Lakers don't have the money to go get stars, and Kobe doesn't care about winning. He just cares about being paid. Okay, so he's selfish. So would you rather LeBron stay in Cleveland and make every single dime that he deserves, and then they don't have money to go get stars to play around him? Or would you rather the players take less money so you can go get more great players so you can win championships? Why is that soft? Players taking less money to win championships. How is that soft? I'll wait. I just don't get it. We always beat up players for being selfish and going to bad teams to go take the most money. Now players take less money to team up, and now they're soft. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's the Justin Kinner Show without Kev Nash today, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Kev Nash will be back. We talked a lot about this in hour number 1. Again, the Buffalo Bills signed quarterback Josh Allen to a 6-year extension. The deal is worth $258 million, $150 million of that guaranteed. This averages out, moving forward for Josh Allen, to be about $43 million a year. That's a lot of money. About 4 months ago, when we started talking about Baker Mayfield's contract extension in Cleveland, about what he's worth, I mean, I kept saying about the 30, 32 mil range, can't do 35. Now 35 is a bargain. If the Browns can get Baker Mayfield for 35 mil a year, that's a bargain, and they're not getting him for that little. Right now, if you want to ask me what I think is a bargain for the Browns with Baker Mayfield, we're talking, if they're lucky enough to get him for 38, 39, that's a bargain. That's what's crazy. For a while, Aaron Rodgers was sitting at like 29, And that was considered about 5 years ago to be super high. Now that's disrespectful. $35 million a year is average. So 35, if the Browns are fortunate enough to get Baker to agree to $35 million a year contract, that's a steal. That's a steal. But I'll be very surprised if Baker is making any less than $39 million. I'll be very surprised if he signs anything less than $39 million. I really do. We got some Reds updates. The Reds are getting healthier. And we're starting to see some names be moved up the farm system pretty quickly. September call-ups is what we're usually used to when it comes to the Cincinnati Reds, but usually because they're losing and they have nothing to play for. But man, if you can add some September call-ups to a team that's in contention for the playoffs, and you could potentially bring up names like Nick Lodolo or names like Hunter Green, I'm wondering if that's where this is heading. We're going to get to that coming up around the corner as well. I didn't get to this yesterday. The Dayton Flyers released their non-conference schedule. Everyone knows I like to find anything to complain about the Flyers, which isn't necessarily true. I'm very critical of a lot of teams I follow and don't follow. I have no problem. A lot of Flyers fans upset about the schedule for the Dayton Flyers this coming up season. And the big question I always have is when people get in an uproar about something, what's the solution? So if you're mad about their schedule, what do you want to see? And when I say what do you want to see, what's a realistic expectation for the types of teams you want to see? So we'll get to that coming up around the corner as well. We'll talk some Ohio State football camp day 2 or day 3, I should say, of camp is Ohio State. They kick off their season coming up here in just over 3 weeks. I can't believe we're getting closer and closer to that. High school football kicks off here in a few weeks as well. In fact, 2 weeks from tonight. 2 weeks from tonight, it's our first high school football game of the week. Glacier Soft Water is going to be our sponsor of the high school football game of the week. Keith Byers and myself will be back in the booth again this coming up fall. Cannot wait, and I cannot believe that is 2 weeks away. Unreal. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. We'll step away for a few moments. Let's open up the phone lines. 518-1410. NBA critics of today. When you say that you hate that the players are teaming up and chasing championships, I got to ask why. Because it's not like the Bulls did it the right way back in the day. Michael Jordan didn't chase championships because he didn't have to. Magic Johnson didn't have to chase championships because his team made sure he didn't have to. Larry Bird didn't have to chase championships because his team made sure he didn't have to. So why are we so critical of athletes today? LeBron James gave 7 years to the Cavs. They gave him old Ben Wallace and old Shaquille O'Neal. Michael Jordan got Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan got Phil Jackson. Michael Jordan got legitimate players during his run. But let's blame the players of today. That doesn't make any sense. I don't think that the players are worse off today. I think that the organizations are worse off today. The Bulls did everything they could to win games. The Lakers did everything they could to win games. The Celtics did everything they could to win games. Teams wanted to win, and they spent money to win, and they drafted to win. Now, how many teams in the NBA bombed, in the NBA draft year after year after year? The Cavaliers are a joke. If they never would have landed LeBron James back in 2003, they would be the biggest joke of a professional sports franchise in the history of sports. 518-1410. Let's talk.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Your weather forecast, low tonight of 67 with mostly cloudy skies, high tomorrow of 88 and partly cloudy skies. I'm Chris Harden for 1410 ESPN Radio.
For the ones going above and beyond. For the ones reaching out, helping out, and lending a hand. For the ones people count on. You can count on Grainger. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, backed by 24/7 customer support and specialists to help with hard-to-find products. Because you've got everyone's back. We've got yours. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Folks, fair season's here, but we've not forgotten about your fur babies, horses, feathered friends. We carry a huge variety of feeds and seeds to meet their needs. Also bedding to keep them warm on cold winter nights. Discounts for veterans, first responders, Farm Bureau members. Homestead Feed and Supply, New Carlisle. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Update your home with help from Menards. Saving over 600 kitchen and bath faucets from Moen in the store and on Menards.com. Moen faucets give you a lifetime of beauty, reliability, and innovative features like spot resist finish and motion sense technology. All Moen faucets are 11% off. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through August 7th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus, home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well, medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Tired of deciding what to cook tonight? Frickers is ready when you are with everyone's favorite ribs and frickin' chicken chunks. Tender baby back ribs and frickin' chicken chunks, only $12.99 dine-in only. Take the day off as kids 10 and under eat free every day. And you can relax and let Frickers take care of everything. Baby back ribs, frickin' chicken chunks, and kids eat free at the one place that makes lunch, dinner, or late night easy. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Baby back. Baby back.
Hey there, it's CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger with an inside track on a company that could save your family over $800 a year on a basic service everyone needs, H2O Wireless. If you're with Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, H2O Wireless gives you the exact same coverage as one of those, but at half the price. That's right, H2O Wireless uses the same network, same towers. You can even keep your phone and number because switching is as easy as swapping a SIM card. Right now, get unlimited talk, text, and 15 gigs of data for just $36 a month. And if you want a new phone, H2O Wireless has huge savings on the latest iPhones and Androids. Here's what you need to do. Pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say keyword get H2O. When you do, you'll save 50% off your first month. Again, dial pound 250 and say keyword get H2O, and your family could start saving over $800 a year today.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kidder with you here on a Friday. Talk some much baseball coming up here around the corner. 518-1410. 518-1410. That's the number to call in and join the conversation. For those of you watching, that graphic is all messed up, so let's get that fixed, shall we? There we go. Now we are off and rolling here on a Friday. My goodness. Okay, so 518-1410, that's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Again, that's the new hotline number. I know for the longest time, 457-9464 was the call-in number. That number is still active. At least we have one line of it. So more of the times than not, it's busy when you call it. So 518-1410, that's the new number you need to make sure you put in your phones and memorize that one, 518-1410. I'm going to be obnoxious with it as we head into the football season, and this is our busiest phone time of the year, so 518-1410. But before going to the break, we're talking about, there's some sports narratives out there that drive me crazy, and the one that drives me the most crazy is this idea that today's athletes are, when you talk about the NBA, softer than the MJ era, the 90s, and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. And what's always interesting to me is when you think about the franchises that the players that we always bring up from back in your day. Larry Bird played for the Celtics. Magic Johnson played for the Lakers. And I know that the Bulls were a bad organization when MJ went there, but the new ownership, I know that they are known now as a joke of an ownership because of how they treated Scottie Pippen. They chased out Phil Jackson. They ended that dynasty prematurely. But at the end of the day, they built the only reason they could destroy the dynasty is because they built the dynasty, right? Like Jerry Jones, everyone rips Jerry Jones, but the only way he could ruin the Cowboys was by building them up to be something to ruin. So there's flaws in every management group, but I would rather have Jerry Jones as an owner than Mike Brown or even the Haslams. Now, the Haslams are doing a lot of good things right now with the Browns. We'll see if they can stay out of the way. I'm not impressed. When an ownership group builds a roster up, I'm not impressed. I don't give them a grade on that yet. Like the Haslams, I'm not willing to say that they've turned the corner of being good owners in the NFL. I need to see how they build this roster, allow the owners or the GMs to build it, and then what kind of money do they invest into, retaining it? So the Bulls to have 6 championships in the 90s. So my whole point was I don't think that the players are softer today than back then, mainly because MJ stuck with the Bulls because he didn't have to think about leaving elsewhere. It's not like MJ was 9 years into his career and didn't have a championship. Now, he did lose a lot at the beginning. People always like to think that MJ's career started in 91 or 92 when they won the championship. No, how many years of losing did MJ go through? For a guy that everyone says is the GOAT, they act like, the Bulls never had to experience not being a championship team with MJ. How many years of not winning championships and getting knocked out in the first round did it take before MJ became MJ? So give me a break with that. That's such a lazy and pathetic narrative that I can't stand when people bring that up. I think that that's moronic, to be honest with you. MJ's great. I'm not saying he's not great, but to use that against LeBron is kind of freaking silly, if you ask me. LeBron left Cleveland because he had to. Because, he had to go team up with great players. Well, because his team wouldn't give him to him. They weren't good enough to draft a Scottie Pippen. They weren't good enough to go get a Phil Jackson or a good head coach like that. They weren't going anywhere. He had to leave. The Thunder with Kevin Durant, they got built up to get to the finals. Everyone's like, yeah, they got to the finals and he still left. No, he left because they built up to be a finals team and the team didn't want to pay James Harden, so they let him go. He really liked Scott Brooks, the head coach. Instead of keeping him, they let him go. Serge Ibaka, not one of the all-time greats, but was a paint enforcer. I mean, they called him Serge Ibaka because the paint enforcer that he was. They let him go. More championship pieces left than came in. Of course Durant left. He'd had enough. I don't blame him. He gave him 9 years, by the way. Almost an entire decade of Durant's career was given to OKC, and they had a prime window to win a championship, and rather than add to it, they took it away. So, no, these players aren't. Larry Bird would have left to go to another team if he didn't play with the all-time greats that he played with. LeBron and these guys, they go form their own super teams to where the teams used to form their super teams back in the day. Now the players form them, and that's the problem. Why does it matter how the super teams are formed? Super teams are super teams. The Celtics were a super team. The Lakers were super teams. The Bulls, that was a super team. Even the Jazz that never won an NBA championship, that was when you have John Stockton and Karl Malone, you mean to tell me that that's just a good old-fashioned basketball? No, that was a super team. You have two of the all-time greats on the super team. It's a lazy narrative, and I'm tired of hearing it, and people need to do better. At least from 3 to 6 when you're tuning into this show, you got to bring better content than that, because I ain't going to accept that. Not in the slightest. 518-1410. Let's go to Jeff. Jeff, how are you, sir? Thanks for holding.
Hey, thanks, Justin. I wanted to talk about this load management, and I want to propose an idea.
Okay.
Every job that I've ever went to, I've always negotiated my vacation time and everything else. What makes it any different from when a basketball player decides that he wants to include 10 days off or whatever? I mean, I know I got vacation time. I know you have vacation time. So we can consider that load management. I mean, does that make you soft, or does that make me soft because we negotiate vacation time?
It's soft when you only work 7 of the 12 months a year, and you still need time off in those 7 months. Me and you, we work 365 days a year, so of course we have to have vacation time thrown in there to separate it. These guys work 7 months. These guys are working, their season is 7 months, 6 months of the year. If you need load management, take that time in the off season to do that. I know what you're saying. That's a very good example. I appreciate that you positioned it that way, because you're right. But these guys have off seasons. It's not, and they're like the most premier athletes in the world. And this idea that they need an off day is just, to me, take a practice off. Oh, and I'll meet you here, though. I agree with you. I don't mind athletes take a day off, but why not take a practice off? Why take a game? You're paid for the game performances. If you need to take a day or two of practice off a week, and you're Kawhi Leonard or LeBron James or Kevin Durant, by all means, take practices off. I'll never understand why it's acceptable to take games off, man.
I just wanted to propose that because, like I said, every job that I've ever worked for, whatever, I've always negotiated vacation time and stuff like that. I just trying to figure out what your opinion was about why it could be kind of different for a professional athlete to do the same thing.
Because they get 4 months of an off time, technically. But I know what you're saying. It's just the NBA season's not 365 days long.
Wow, but you also look at LeBron James and everything else and the stuff that he posts. He practices. He does everything. He turns his job pretty much is working 365 days out of the year.
And that's fine, but I'll never. And by the way, you want to work out off days of practice, by all means, that's fine. But taking games off, that's you're paid to produce on game day. And if you want to take practices off, fine. But taking games off is just absurd to me. Yeah. But look, you're not wrong. It's all just how you look at it. I'm not saying that you're wrong for that. I think that, we're learning as we go here, and load management's a thing for even in college basketball. I know that there was talks of when, back in 2020, last year, holy crap, last year, that UD team with Obi Toppin, there was talks of, okay, do you give some players rest down the stretch? Do you know what I mean? It's even trickled down into the college ranks of not wanting to wear players out heading into the NCAA tournament.
Well, I agree with that, but it even falls in baseball as well, but nobody really says much about baseball in that aspect either.
Let me ask you, and I know there's examples out there, and I'm not trying to challenge everything you say, but I thought I was just going to bring that up, so I'm glad you did. Jeff, can you think of a star baseball player that is always asking for days off? I can't think of one. Joey Votto gets ticked off when not ticked off, has an attitude, but the manager, David Bell, has to force him to take off days. So in baseball, it's weird. 162 game season. It's a dang long season. I don't know of any athletes that I hear in baseball demanding off days. Do you?
No, but you always hear them always talking about how grinding of a schedule it is and how much they want more off days throughout the year and stuff like that scheduled. It's just things like that just kind of they're trying to negotiate that in, just like the same way Kawhi Leonard's trying to negotiate that into his contract as well. That was kind of the point that I was making for you, Justin.
No, absolutely, man. No, and I appreciate your points. That is a very good comparison of saying, hey, in our everyday jobs, we like to work out, when you're working out your salary, you also try to work out extra PTO days and stuff. That's a very good point and very similar. My only counter to that is but the NBA season's not 365 days, so it's slightly different, but I appreciate your take on that. But Jeff, I appreciate you, man. Thank
you very much for your time, Justin. Have a good day.
Yep, you too. No, Jeff brings up a good point. Him and I are on two different sides on that. If you're just tuning in, it's the Justin Kinder Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. But, this Kawhi Leonard deal, when we're talking about the different generations of players, and today's players are softer than back in the day. And I don't think the players are softer today than back in the day. I think that the game is called softer. But, to sit here and act like LeBron James, who's the size of a freight train, couldn't handle being pummeled going down the lane. Come on, let's be real. That doesn't make any sense. Look at LeBron James. And you mean to tell me that a dude built like that couldn't handle playing in the 90s? You sound ridiculous. What I have a problem with is athletes making the level of money that they do, trying to work in off games. Why do you have to take games off? Why does Kawhi Leonard need to take games off? If you need a rest day, take a practice off, because when you take a practice off, you are not taking an opportunity away from fans to watch you play. Who, let's be honest, when an NBA, and we don't have an NBA team around here, but in those markets where there are NBA teams, if this was in Indianapolis or what have you, we would look at that schedule when it comes out. And then we would say, oh, man, good, the Clippers are coming. I want to see Kawhi Leonard play. I'm going to buy my tickets now. And then you buy the tickets and then find out he's not going to play. And it's because he needed a night off. Well, take the night before off. Take the practice off. Take the previous 2 days, the prior 2 days off. I'll never, ever, ever support athletes' decisions to take games off. It's pathetic. I'll never get that. It's a long season. Oh, it's a long season. You don't understand. Take practice days off. That's why you hear in the NFL, it's a long physical season. That's why we don't overwork them. That's why, so that's kind of where I'm at. 518-1410. Let's go to, is this Scott? Scott, how are you?
I'm great. This is Scott.
Scott, welcome, man. What you got for us?
I think I saw an interview with Johnny Bench a couple months ago, and he talked about...
With who?
Johnny Bench.
Johnny Bench, okay.
And he talked about what baseball was like before free agency and before the big money from TV showed up, and a lot of players had comparable salaries to and above, like blue collar. He made $70,000 in the early 70s. He said, but I think, and he commented, when he got into baseball, it wasn't because he wanted to make it big and become a millionaire. Did that happen? Probably close, but I think people who get into professional sports, I think they're getting into it. A lot of them. Don't get me wrong. I think they love the game, but I think they're preserving their livelihood. They're trying to cash in as much as possible, and that's. Can you imagine load management when Cal Ripken was playing? People didn't talk that way, and nowadays these players are trying to drag out their career longer, make more millions of dollars because the money's there. The money didn't used to be there.
It's funny. Real quick, Scott. A few years ago, my youngest brother, when he was in school, and this was I keep saying a few years ago. This was a long time ago. I keep forgetting how old we all are now. But my brother, he was obsessed with the perfect attendance. He didn't miss a day of school in 7th grade, 8th grade. Mm-hmm. He didn't miss a day of school his freshman year. And then he got really sick and had to have surgery and have to miss days. And he was ticked. In school, you are incentivized to show up every day. Because that's setting you up for when you go to, into the workforce. You're expected to be at work way more than you're not expected to be at work, right? So that's what's amazing to me is that there's people out there who really do their best to try to be there every single day. And then you have these athletes who are making $1 kajillion more than those athletes back in the day. And yet they want off days. I just don't get it. Take practices off. Hey, we have a big stretch of games coming up. I want to make sure I'm healthy and not exhausted for those. Okay, we're going to give you a couple days of practice off. Why is taking games off? Does taking a game off really help keep you healthier long term? No. If you practice for 3 straight days and then sit out a game, how is that helping? Take practices off, not games.
Yeah, I agree. I think, though, a lot of these players that overemphasize the load management, they're the most fragile players. You ever notice that? They're the ones that have the most injuries. They're the ones that have been off for a whole year because of a knee or whatever, and they're trying to preserve that body so they can cash out as much as possible.
Which that should be a red flag. If a player is trying that hard, if they're saying, because of my health concerns, I am trying to work out more off days, then isn't that what the
Isn't that what the guy that used to play for the Spurs?
Kawhi Leonard. That's what I'm talking about. And he just, by the way, he's
to me, he's the poster child for it.
Yeah, but then why are these teams paying him? I wouldn't pay him. Like we want to pay you for what you could do on the floor, and if all you're trying to do is work out deals to not be on the floor, I don't want you on my team.
Well, he got that ring. It's just like coaches that win Super Bowls. A lot of them, their vision or whatever didn't win the Super Bowl. The players won the Super Bowl, and maybe a defensive coordinator system or offensive coordinator system. I mean, if a player gets a ring, they get that respect and they get paid more. Right or wrong.
I get
it. Kawhi Leonard, and the minute he got that ring, he became invincible when it comes to people that, I mean, he'll have one good pinky finger left and they'll still be offering him contracts.
I get it. I just wouldn't pay him, and the Clippers did get there. So he's out for all of next year, and he opted out of his contract with the Clippers so they could refinagle it, and they did. And he's coming back next year, but he's not even playing next year. I wanted to pay him. I wanted to pay him a dime. I want guys that want to play. LeBron James, 36, 37 years old, and he was literally shaking. He was telling his coach, "No, I'm good. I'm not taking an off day." I remember it right before he got hurt, and I don't think he got hurt because he was playing a lot of games. I mean, the most healthiest of persons, if you look at that injury that happened to LeBron James, the healthiest of individuals come down on someone else's foot. That's not because of age. That's because you stepped on someone's foot. Now, maybe how long he was out might have to do more so with his age, but I don't think taking rest days in the months prior to that would have got him back faster. So who knows?
Well, I've been a Celtics fan my whole life, and Larry Bird literally lay on his stomach on the sideline when he was resting because his back was so screwed up, but he still played. And when he knew he couldn't play anymore, he just retired. Wasn't none of this load management, none of that crap.
And that's back when they made less money and you had to play longer to collect as much money as you can. These guys, 3-4 seasons after their rookie deals, they could retire and call it a year. But
they weren't making that TV money back then like they are now, and the free agency situation wasn't the same back then. It's like the Johnny Bench interview I said at the beginning of our conversation. It's free agency and TV money has completely changed everything.
Absolutely.
Because guys like, you can ask Cal Ripken, I mean, did he make one more dollar because he was an Iron Man? Did he? I don't know. I mean, maybe if he rested a couple games every so often, his career would have been longer, but he just wasn't wired that way.
But he was known for that. He was a great player on top of being durable.
He was.
But hey, man, I appreciate you calling. Great hearing from you. You take care.
Yep. Fire David Bell.
Are you? But no, in all seriousness, like, why is the only sport that we hear about load management basketball? Like, that's the sport that the athletes make the most money. Well, baseball, but I'm saying, but I give baseball players credit. Folks, can you find me? And I'm not saying that one doesn't exist. I'm just having a hard time. Like, who is the Kawhi Leonard of Major League Baseball? Who is the star that is fighting to play less? You have Tom Brady at 43 years old playing with a torn MCL or whatever the hell it was so that he could compete to win a Super Bowl. That's in a physical sport for a guy that's been in the league 2 decades. And then you have fans who actually defend players working out off days in their contract. How? You get an off season. You want to rest in the off season. You want to rest? Take a practice day off. Fans aren't paying thousands of dollars on tickets to watch you practice. They're spending hundreds of dollars on tickets to watch you play. And then you show up to the arena on game night and you take a night off after families who don't make nearly even close to a fraction of what you make. They spend their good hard-earned money to watch you play and your ass is off. What are we doing here? Find me a baseball player. Who is in Major League Baseball? Who is the Kawhi Leonard of Major League Baseball? I can't think of one. The reason that baseball players get benched in baseball is because the manager decides to give them an off day, which is so irritating. I mean, and I hear pitchers all the time get frustrated that their innings are capped. Back in the day, you would get 8 innings of a pitcher no matter what. Now they're done after 4 or 5. Maybe that's kind of an example there, I guess, but I can't think of a player that has openly negotiated off days. 162 game season. Coach, you better not put me in a lineup for more than 80 of them. More than 120 of them. I don't get it. Trey Green on Facebook says, yeah, look at LeBron James always flopping. James is built like a tank and is always falling down like a house of cards when someone fouls him. And you think that's because he's soft? If you want to say that the rules are soft, to me, LeBron James is don't hate the player, hate the game. I know that's a very corny little expression, but it's true. Don't hate LeBron for that. Hate the rule, which the NBA is trying to adjust the rules to prevent that. By the way, I've never understood why people get mad at flopping. It's called, it's no different than in the NFL when you do the hard count to get them to, you are trying to creatively come up with a way to draw the other team off sides, to draw a foul. Hell, they even teach you at a young age in basketball, when you go up for a layup and there's a defender there, to lean into the defender and then go up to initiate contact, to put to force the official to make a call. I have no clue why people people want to call LeBron James a crybaby. The amount of crying I see people do about LeBron flopping is unbelievable. If you have to convince yourself that LeBron James, who was built like a freaking tank, could not play in the 90s, you are not worth my time talking to. That doesn't make any damn sense. You are silly. You sound so silly. Oh, LeBron James, he couldn't handle playing in the 90s. Do you realize how dumb that sounds? Like, my God. It is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Michael Jordan apparently couldn't handle playing in the 90s. That's why he had to retire, because he couldn't handle the game anymore. Why don't we say that? LeBron James has played almost 2 decades in the NBA. Actually, he's played more than 2 decades when you add all the playoffs, all the Olympics. Oh, yeah, but MJ, who literally retired twice because he couldn't handle the media. He couldn't handle the pressure anymore. Oh, yeah, but LeBron James, he's the soft one. And I'm not really even saying MJ's soft. I'm just saying, if you're going to say that LeBron is soft and he's not tough like MJ, you mean the guy that couldn't handle all the attention, that had to step away from the game twice? That guy? Don't, if you're going to bring silliness to me, I'm going to give it right back. But don't tell me LeBron is soft. LeBron's taking advantage of the softer rules, but LeBron is a freaking tank. He shows up to every game. He plays in every game. Yes, he got injured and missed some time, but the big knock on him all season is that, oh man, the coaches want to give him off days, but he won't take them. And then instead of praising him, all we do is rip the players who take off days, in today's game. Instead of praising him, people find a way. See, he's a diva, doesn't listen to his coach. You guys are hilarious. Hour 2 of the Justin Kinner Show coming to an end. Coming up in hour number 3, the Cincinnati Reds. They have some more reinforcements coming. The trade deadline has come and gone, and I still think that there are some glaring flaws within the Reds organization or within the Reds roster buildup, but there could be more help coming. Mike Moustakas is back in the lineup tonight. They just got Nick Castellanos back yesterday or earlier in the week. The Reds team's getting healthier. Sims is making rehab appearances with the Louisville Bats. Michael Lorenzen's back. You added the 3 arms at the trade deadline. This is going to look like a much different Reds team as we head here into the midway point of August. September could be interesting as well, as Nick Ladoa, who was just recently called up to Louisville. Will they fast forward his run? Now, will we see Hunter Green with the Reds here in the coming weeks? I'm excited about what's going on in Cincinnati. 8 games above 500 for the first time in a long time. We'll talk about all that. Hour 3 coming up, plus the Dayton Flyers non-conference schedule. I'll tell you why I like it, despite some saying they don't. We'll get to all of that. Josh Allen, 6-year contract extension. What does that mean for the Browns and Baker Mayfield? I threw this question out in hour number 1. I'll throw it out now heading into hour number 3. Lamar Jackson's the only one of these 3 to win an MVP. Lamar Jackson wins every single year. But I got to ask, if you are the Ravens and you are the Browns, which organization feels more confident about their quarterback situation moving forward? Do the Ravens feel better about their quarterback situation moving forward than the Browns? Or do the Browns feel better about their quarterback situation moving forward? Which team should feel better about their situation at quarterback moving forward? We'll get to all of that. A jam-packed hour number 3. It's the Justin Kinner Show here on a Friday. We'll be back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
You you have empty office space to fill or home office to create? You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
The Meyer Distribution Center in Tip City is hiring for warehouse positions in all units, which include flexible schedules, best-in-class benefits, enhanced starting wages, and $1,500 sign-on bonus. Apply online at jobs.meyer.com. Keyword search distribution, location Tip City, or call 937-669-9109, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., Monday through Friday. Walk-in interviews are also available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Call 937-669-9109. Meyer is an equal opportunity employer.
Some people believe their kids don't need to go to the dentist because baby teeth don't matter, since they'll eventually fall out. Dr. David Kimberly, president of the Ohio Dental Association, is here to tell us more.
Actually, baby teeth are very important for your child's health and development. Healthy baby teeth help your child chew, speak, smile, and pay attention in school without the distraction of dental pain. Also, if a baby tooth is lost too early, the permanent teeth can shift into the empty space and make it difficult for the other permanent teeth to come in when they are ready. So it's critical to make an appointment for your child to see a dentist before going back to school.
ODA member dentists are located throughout the state, are dedicated to providing the highest quality care, are bound by the highest ethical standards, and obtain superior ongoing education and training. On your next visit, ask if your dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association and American Dental Association, so you know you're being treated by the best. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
The real estate market is always tough, but this market, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. When the average home stays on the market just 24 days and houses routinely go for more than the listing price, who you work with matters. Realtors have the expertise, local knowledge, and personal touch to give you a competitive advantage throughout the entire home buying process. And that's something an ordinary agent could never do. So make sure your agent is a realtor. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Staples Connect has everything for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, Crayola 12-count colored pencils and 10+2 Crayola marker bonus packs and Staples 2-pack scissors are just 97 cents each. So your student won't just be ready for school. They'll be tons of drawings to hang on the fridge ready.
We're going to need a bigger refrigerator.
Visit your local Staples store or staples.com/back to school today and get more than ready for school. Ends 9/18. Limit 30 on Crayola. Limit 6 on scissors.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-709-7022. 800-709-7022. 800-709-7022.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We're live. We're local.
What are you going to miss? He struck him up.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
.502 here in the Miami Valley, here on a Friday. It's the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Kev Nash out and about today. He'll be back on Monday, August 20th, 2 weeks from tonight. It'll be our first high school football game of the week, and I cannot tell you how excited I am. Keith Byers and myself back in the booth again, bringing you our high school football game of the week each and every Friday, August 20th, week 1 of the high school football season. Got to see a little NFL last night, the Hall of Fame game. To be honest, I think the Steelers won. I'm not even sure. I don't really care. Bottom line is, it was just cool. I had the game on. It was on in the background. I wasn't like tuning in to watch like a great football game. I mean, my goodness, there were so many. It looked like a game that guys are playing that had a week to prepare, like that had 1 week to prepare. Now I know that that's every week in the regular season, but we're talking about 1 week to prepare, not a full month of training camp to prepare you for the upcoming NFL season. There's no takeaways. There's nothing you learned. I don't get it. I'm watching ESPN earlier today, and I had to turn it off. I know this is an ESPN affiliate, but I can't stand watching shows that try to make something out of nothing. And basically, when I heard for 2 straight shows about, are there concerns about the Cowboys offense after what you saw last night? Really? For one, you're going to judge an offense that has only been together for 1 week coming out of the offseason. You don't even have your starting quarterback playing, and you're going to sit there and say, I'm seeing a lot of that. I forgot even who it was. Malika Andrew. No, not her. I don't know who the hell it was. Bottom line is, one of the reporters was sitting there, had the nerve to say, I'm seeing a lot of the same issues we saw with the Cowboys offense last year. Turn your mic off. Go home. You're done for the day. Take one of them Kawhi Leonard off days, just to go reset. Holy smokes, wasting my time with that type of coverage. You got to be kidding me. I turned that off. I did find this interesting, though. Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver James Washington has approached the team about requesting a trade. He's still in his rookie contract. This is according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. The source said that Washington, the Washington football team, who was entering the final year, saying that Washington, who's entering the final year of his rookie deal, is unhappy with his limited playing time last season and so far in the preseason. Pretty gutsy move for a rookie, or for at least a guy in his rookie contract. What's interesting enough, though, is that the Washington football team has approached Pittsburgh about potentially trading for him. Of course, Washington has some pretty good weapons. They have Terry McLaurin, former Buckeye, of course, and it's going to be interesting to see who ends up coming away with him. But he's 25 years old. He saw his production dwindle last season. He played on only 44% of the snaps in 2020 after seeing 64% of the snaps the year before. I get it. You're concerned. And I think that the reason he's asking for a trade is it makes sense. I know a lot of people were ripping him saying, hey, you shouldn't be out asking to be traded when you're still in your rookie contract. It's the fact that he's entering the final year of his rookie contract, which means this is a contract year, and the difference between 64% of the plays going your way compared to 44, that's a lot of money that's off the books that he's not going to have a chance. So if he's seeing basically the same offense come back, and that's with less plays going to the pass game. They're hoping that Najee Harris, the Steelers, of course, they're hoping that Najee Harris takes a good chunk off of the shoulders of Big Ben. That's why it was a gamble for Juju Smith-Schuster to return. By the way, if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and you think that Juju Smith-Schuster is this loyal guy that, I wanted to go back home. I wanted to play for the Steelers. I picked Big Ben and the Steelers over Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. First of all, you're a sucker. This dude's as good as gone after this year in Pittsburgh. That's why he signed the 1-year deal. He observed his options. And the well was dry out on the free agent market for him. He was not getting, the market was not good. It was not going to give him the money he anticipated getting. So he then had to ask himself, which situation gives me the best opportunity to go improve, and not really improve, but to go get the numbers that I need to justify the money that I want to ask for. Now you could say, well, the Ravens are they're a better team than Pittsburgh. They're better constructed than Pittsburgh right now, but that doesn't mean that that's a better situation for him. You could say, well, you can go to the Kansas City and play with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that's the best situation right there. Why wouldn't you go play with Patrick Mahomes? Because if you go to the Chiefs and you're Juju Smith-Schuster, you are now the third option because Hill will get the majority of the looks. Travis Kelce will get the majority of the looks. You will be the third option on the Kansas City Chiefs. And you could still get good numbers with the Chiefs as the third option, or you can go back to Pittsburgh and be the number one option in Pittsburgh. Now, there's Steelers fans who are rolling their eyes because that's what they do. They're obnoxious. They roll their eyes and say, well, Kinner, I mean, who's to say he's the number one option? Claypool's pretty Stop. Juju Smith-Schuster is the number one wide receiver there, and I don't even think Juju Smith-Schuster is a good number one wide receiver. Juju Smith-Schuster is a typical number two receiver. I put him in that category with Jarvis Landry and others and Tyler Boyd, and I think that Tyler Boyd and Jarvis Landry are better than Juju Smith-Schuster. So if I had to pick all the number twos there, I mean, if you look at, is Sammy Watkins or Juju Smith-Schuster? I think some teams might go with Juju, but I don't think it would be 10 of 10. I don't think if you offered him to 10 teams, I don't think 10 teams would take Juju over Sammy Watkins. I think that they'd have to think about it. But I do know Jarvis Landry, way better than Juju. Tyler Boyd, way better than Juju. So there you go. My point is the Steelers fans are like, oh, we got a good culture here. He was loyal. If he was loyal, why was he trying to bounce to begin with? It's not like he was out testing the waters. He thought he was going to get paid, and he bounced. And then when he realized he wasn't going to get paid, he went back to the situation where he was going to be looked at the most. Give him the damn ball. That's why he went back to Pittsburgh. But this James Washington situation in Pittsburgh, very interesting. Other NFL news, we talked a lot about this, and now we're number one. The Buffalo Bills signed quarterback Josh Allen to a 6-year contract extension. There was Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson. Those three quarterbacks, everyone, like all three organizations, the Ravens, Bills, and Browns. You know that episode in The Office when you have Dwight and you have Andy and you have Pam, and they're all, and I shouldn't say Pam, I'm sorry. It was Michael Scott. They're all pointing their little guns at each other, the little handguns at each other. And that's what I envision the Browns, Ravens, and Bills all doing. They're all just sitting there in a little triangle, just like, who's going to go first? Who's going to go first? The Bills blinked first. And now the bar is set to, on average, $43 million a year. So now you got to start asking yourself, if you're the Cleveland Browns and you're the Baltimore Ravens, which one of those two teams is more equipped to be able to afford to give their quarterback at least $43 million? Because if I'm Baker Mayfield, I'm going to shoot my shot and say, well, I want $44 million. I want $43 million exactly. Lamar Jackson is going to use his MVP card and say, hey, I'm an MVP. I should be paid like an MVP. I have an MVP. Josh Allen doesn't, and he's getting 43. I deserve more. I have an MVP. Deshaun Watson doesn't, and he's the second highest paid quarterback in the league. I want more. Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, I'm curious. I think that's going to get dicey. I don't know. And again, I know I'm a Baker supporter. I don't get the vibe, and tell me if I'm wrong, Browns fans, 518-1410. Do you get the vibe that Baker Mayfield's going to be one of those like very aggressive negotiators that's going to threaten to hold out? Do you envision Baker pulling what Aaron Rodgers does in Green Bay, what Deshaun Watson was doing in Houston? Do you envision this getting ugly, like the Dak Prescott situation in Dallas? And by the way, Dak Prescott's not a bad dude. Dak Prescott's not he's not a distraction. I don't think Dak Prescott's a diva, but Dak Prescott gambled on his value and he got his money. Is Baker Mayfield that guy? I'm not asking you if you think he deserves $43 million, but is Baker Mayfield that guy that is going to hold the Browns' feet to the fire and say, yeah, you're going to pay me what Josh Allen makes, or I'm going to hold out? Is Baker Mayfield that guy? Because if I'm Baker Mayfield, and again, I don't want to have a conversation about whether or not he deserves the money, but if I'm Baker Mayfield, I look at this situation. I look at an organization like Cleveland that has been waiting for a quarterback to even be worth the amount of time to talk about paying an extension to since coming back to Cleveland. If I'm Baker Mayfield and his agent, I notice that and I say, well, you've been spending 2 decades looking for a quarterback. You may find some flaws in my game that you're not comfortable paying me what Josh Allen's making, but beggars can't be choosers. You've been looking for a quarterback for 2 decades, and the one good quarterback that comes along, you're going to let walk over a contract dispute? Like, I think Baker has leverage here. The Browns get their first playoff win since coming back to Cleveland. The Browns make the playoffs for the first time in a long, long time. They beat Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh. There are so many things that Baker Mayfield has on his resume right now that he can hold the Browns' feet to the fire. My big question is will he? He should demand Josh Allen type money. He should. Will he? I don't know. And what kind of guy is Baker Mayfield? I don't mean, is he cocky? Is he arrogant? He runs his mouth too much. He did the flag at Ohio State. He punched the flag in the block O, and everyone's hated him since then. He's very, he ran from the cops in college. He did the crotch grab into the face of the Kansas players because they wouldn't shake his hand, and there was little kids standing around he wasn't being a good role model. I don't care about any of that. The question is Baker Mayfield the type of quarterback that is going to disrupt the flow of this team to get the money he wants? 518-1410. Browns fans, help me out here. Where are you with that? Do you believe that this can get sticky? Will Baker Mayfield be like Dak Prescott and threaten to hold out? Will that happen? Will he be franchise tagged? Will Baker Mayfield be like Aaron Rodgers and make demands? And if he doesn't get his way, it's going to get ugly and it's going to get awkward. Is that Baker Mayfield? I don't know. I don't get the vibe that that's going to be the case, but Baker has every right to do it. Baker has every right to say, you are the Browns. You have no leverage here. I know people are saying it's Baker Mayfield. What leverage does he have? He has a ton of leverage. If Baker Mayfield was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, he has zero leverage because it's the Dallas Cowboys. If the New England Patriots drafted Baker Mayfield and they were in this situation, it's the New England Patriots, one of the best run franchises in the National Football League. Baker would have no leverage. But the Browns have no significant recent history to go off of. The Browns don't have a long history of success since coming back to Cleveland. They have been looking for a quarterback season after season after season since coming back to Cleveland. They have no leverage. Cleveland has no right to sit here and tell Baker, yeah, you're not worth it to us to spend that much money. If I'm Baker, I laugh at you and say, before me, you were nothing. Before Baker Mayfield, the Browns were 0-16. Before Baker got there, the Browns were a joke. And since Baker got there, all they do is win. They got to the playoffs. They won a playoff game. They beat the hated Pittsburgh Steelers at Heinz Field, and they did it with their coach sitting at home. Baker Mayfield has the leverage here. Baker Mayfield should, and I hope, holds the Browns' feet to the fire and says, give me my money because you are nothing without me. Since coming back to Cleveland, they were not anything until Baker Mayfield got there. And now the Browns are going to try and play hardball with him. If I'm Baker Mayfield, I do everything in my power to get my money. Now, if you ask me, Justin, do you think he's worth $43 million a year? I think you're worth whatever you are willing to finagle out of your employer, but keep in mind, I don't think that the Browns are better off paying him $43 million a year. Baker's better off for it. Good for him. But I think that the Browns will be in trouble once they give that type of cash to their quarterback. They are now restricted at trying to keep that offensive line in place, trying to keep that receiving core there, trying to keep that running game in place, trying to keep those secondary guys on the defense in place. You already paid Myles Garrett. You just paid Nick Chubb. Denzel Ward's up next, around the corner. There's a lot of guys that they have to figure out what to do with. They've already paid Kareem Hunt. They've paid Nick Chubb. They've paid Myles Garrett. Denzel Ward's going to be up for payment soon. They spent a lot of money in the offseason on some of these key secondary guys. If I am Baker Mayfield has the leverage. Baker Mayfield deserves every bit of money coming his way. The Browns were nothing before he got there. They were 0-16. They win 7 games the next year, and he wasn't even the starter the first 2.5 games of the season. They go into the next season with playoff expectations, and of course, Freddie Kitchens is the one that derailed that. Baker in year 2, his third head coach in his second season. And not only was Baker a mess, if you guys think that the Browns sucked it up in year 2 of Baker because of Baker, you don't know football because they were bad defensively. The run game was not strong. I mean, I know that he had good rushing stats, but I mean, like the offensive line wasn't as smooth. Baker got sacked a ton. They let Zeitler go as part of the deal to be able to get OBJ. But you provided Baker the offensive line and you provided him with weapons and he delivered. You gave him an offensive line. He delivered. Pay him. Now you're saying, well, of course Baker looked good. I saw that the Bengals fan Tommy earlier on Facebook said, well, of course he's good. He has a good offensive line and a good run game. Yeah, so does Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has one of the best offensive lines in football. Aaron Rodgers has a 1,000-yard running back. Aaron Rodgers has the number 1 receiver in football. That's like saying, oh, Aaron Rodgers is only good because he has good players around. Yeah, it's kind of how that works. You might want to try it in Cincinnati. You might want to try giving Joe Burrow an offensive line and giving him some weapons, which they have. They've given him Joe Mixon. They got Jamar Chase, which, by the way, another bad practice today between those guys, but that's for later. By the way, Jackson Carman was pulled from practice today because kept jumping off sides over and over and over. That's about what you would expect from a guy that was projected to go in the 4th and 5th round, and you take him in the 2nd. But hey, that's just me. What do I know? Or 3rd or whatever it was. If I'm the Browns, I pay him. Or if I'm Baker, I demand the money. I just don't know if Baker's that type of dude. I just don't. Let's go to the Facebook feed. I'm curious people's thoughts. It's the Justin Kinner Show. We're live on Facebook. Head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show. You could watch the show live, and your opinion can be heard or at least read live on the air. Your Facebook profile picture, it gets pulled right into the feed. You could also find us on YouTube, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. So David Kendrick on Facebook says Baker is gambling on himself this year, and Barry knows that. However, the Browns season goes this year, however, I see what you're saying. Look, and that's the thing. I think that the Bills saw 3 straight seasons of Josh Allen to where he came in as a rookie, not great, got better in year 2, and then built on year 2 by having a near MVP caliber season in Buffalo. So the Bills feel as if, okay, we've seen what we need. We've seen enough of him to know that we know what we got. He gets better every single year. He absorbs the offense. He knows all the knowledge. He knows exactly what he's doing. Good for Josh Allen. Good for the Bills. They got it done. Baker is being screwed over because of the ownership's inability to get it right with the coaching hire. You had Hugh Jackson, who was a part. I mean, he won 2 games. I mean, you had no games the year before, 0-16. So you had Hugh Jackson, and then you went right into an interim coach, and then you went right into Freddie Kitchens, and then you finally get it right with Kevin Stefanski. And it's amazing how all of a sudden the right coach, things take off. So it hasn't been as stable as a ride for Baker Mayfield. Josh Allen also took over a playoff team. That's the other thing that people forget. The Bills were in the playoffs the year before they drafted Josh Allen. When they drafted Josh Allen, they traded up into the top 10 to get him. Then they get him, and he's on a roster that was already a playoff roster. So Josh Allen, everything was in place for him to succeed. He didn't get Stephon Diggs till late. I get that. But you were already on a roster. Baker Mayfield goes to an 0-16 team. Josh Allen goes to a team that was in the playoffs. And yet we're going to sit here and judge how they finish in the race when they didn't even start from the same starting block. Explain how that makes any sense, folks. Explain how that makes any sense. If you ask me who's been more impressive since coming to the NFL, it's Baker Mayfield. Josh Allen got drafted by a playoff team. He had better weapons around him. He has had a great coaching staff since coming to Buffalo. They built around him. He had stability from day one. Baker Mayfield gets drafted by an 0-16 team. You have Hugh Jackson. Then you go on to the interim coach. Then you go to Freddie Kitchens. And then you finally get to Kevin Stefanski. I mean, come on. Of course Baker was going to have a roller coaster type start to his career. It doesn't make any sense, the people that want to criticize him. Jake Whiting says, definitely not worth $43 million. Y'all wanted him gone the first half of last year. LOL. Well, Jake, it's common sense. I'm at least able to criticize my quarterback when he's not playing well, and he was not playing well to start the season. It's actually not that he wasn't playing well. He was actually playing really, really well. What I was getting tired of is the fact that they were only letting him throw the ball 20 to 25 times. His total yardage was under 210 yards a game. But he was throwing. Had a good completion percentage. He wasn't turning the ball over, but that screams game manager to me. So, Jake, if the Browns would have finished the season with him with those numbers, if he would have continued averaging 20 to 25 attempts a game, I would have said, okay, I'm done. If he would have continued averaging 200 to 220 total passing yards a game, I would have said, okay, I'm done. But from week 7 week 8 till the very end of the season, there's only 2 quarterbacks that threw for more yards, that threw for more touchdowns, that had more completions and had a higher QBR, Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. So Bengals fans, keep chirping, but you look foolish. I'm just saying. Keith Tolliver says, if I'm Denzel Ward, I'm getting my contract done ASAP. It's not up to the players, though. David Kendrick, when you said that Baker's gambling on himself this year, it's not as if the Browns have offered him a contract and he turned it down to gamble on himself. I'm 90% sure that if the Browns offered him $43 million a year, he'd take it. And who's to say that Baker's not worth $43 million a year? If Baker Mayfield is who he was the last half of the season, I'd say that's worth $43 million a year. If Baker Mayfield can go and torch the defenses that he did last year, why is he not worth $43 million a year? If Josh Allen And take a look at this. And I shared this earlier, and Bills fans got mad at me. Baker Mayfield has more completions. He has a higher completion percentage. He has more passing yards. He took over an 0-16 team. Josh Allen went to a playoff team. We've been through all this. How? Look at those stats right there. For those of you watching on Facebook, YouTube, look at all of that and convince me that Baker Mayfield is not worth the same amount of money as Josh Allen. Please. I need to know. Oh, because Josh Allen runs more? I said this in the first hour. If you want rushing stats, get a running back. And the Browns have two of the best in the NFL. They have Kareem Hunt. They have Nick Chubb. Of course, Baker is not going to have better rushing stats than Josh Allen. For one, even if they didn't have a good running game, Baker still couldn't run like Josh Allen. But I don't think that a quarterback's ability to make plays with his legs makes him a better quarterback, because all we do is say, oh, well, the running quarterback, I don't like the running quarterbacks in the league. Lamar Jackson's the only running quarterback that it has worked with because, he hasn't got hurt yet. But he's going to get hurt. It's only a matter of time. Josh Allen's going to get hurt too. For those of you bragging about, oh, Josh Allen, he could run better than Baker. Well, when Josh Allen gets hurt for running the ball, remember this conversation. When Lamar Jackson, all the physicality in which he plays because he makes plays with his legs, when the injuries catch up with him, remember this conversation. I don't care if Baker Mayfield can't make plays with his leg. You draft a quarterback to throw the damn football. That's what Baker does. And Baker has more yards, more completions, better completion percentage, more touchdowns. But by all means, yeah, Baker Mayfield's not worth $43 million a year like Josh Allen. Give me a break. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. No Kev Nash today, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. So Quinn Ewers for Ohio State skips his senior season of high school to enroll early at Ohio State. And we were waiting. Everyone who was criticizing the name, image, and likeness debates. We're worried about, what's going to be the fallout? Quinn Ewers is the tip of the iceberg. Quinn Ewers skips his senior year of high school to enroll early at Ohio State so that he can make millions, make a lot of money, make thousands and thousands of dollars, close to 7 figures. Okay? It doesn't stop there. We now have the basketball equivalent to Quinn Ewers. I'll tell you about that coming up. We'll look at Dayton Flyers non-conference schedule. I'll tell you why I like it, despite some people criticizing it. We'll get to that. All of that coming up. Reds-Pirates game 2 tonight. The Reds have more help coming. The Reds keep getting healthier. And there's some talent in the system that could be called up fairly quickly. A lot to get into. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Grammy award-winning folk band Old Crow Medicine Show and guitar picking prodigy Molly Tuttle together live. 2 nights, Friday, August 13th at PNC Pavilion and Saturday, August 14th at Rose Music Center at the Heights.
Caroline, you do just fine.
Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Don't miss Old Crow Medicine Show and Molly Tuttle live in Ohio this August.
Welcome to the 54th National Tractor Pulling Championships Reloaded, the largest truck and tractor pull in the world with 11,000 reserved seats and 2,100 campsites. Watch pullers from across the world compete for the coveted NTPC Championship ring. Rich in history, home to hospitality. Experience the power of the pulls. August 19th, 20th, and 21st in Bowling Green, Ohio. Purchase your tickets today.
Whether it's next day delivery or getting involved in their local communities, Napa goes above and beyond to serve you because their motor never quits. That's Napa know-how.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Your weather forecast: low tonight of 67 with mostly cloudy skies, high tomorrow of 88 and partly cloudy skies. I'm Chris Harden for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Seal Coating, protecting the asphalt surfaces at your home, office, or commercial property. Introducing infrared patching, a new technology for your property. This service and more at culletsealcoating.com.
For the ones who know that a little late is always too late, and that the clock doesn't stop just because you're missing a part, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. And our Keep Stock inventory management solutions help ensure you have the right stuff in the right place at exactly the right time. Visit Grainger.com/keepstock to learn more. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The JCPenney Mystery Sale is back. How much will you save? Shop Thursday through Sunday, and you could get an extra 30, 40, or even 50% off with in-store coupon giveaway. Save on brands like Arizona and Exertion. Plus, discover our new kids brand, Thereabouts. Styles designed with every kid in mind. Plus, shop extended store hours, smart shopping, and surprise savings. JCPenney. Offer valid 8/5 to 8/8. Giveaway in stores only. While supplies last. Must be 18 or older. Some exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Napa know-how.
At Napa, get a $10 gift card when you buy a 5-quart jug of Mobil 1 motor oil for $27.99. A deal so rich, they'll call you an oil tycoon. Yep, with great oil for $27.99 and $10 back. All you'll need is a monocle. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
Participating locations does not include state local taxes or recycling fees. Advertised sales price may not be available in some states. Rebate restrictions apply. Offer ends 8/31/21.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Are you involved with a school or charitable fundraiser that holds an auction, bid and buy booth, or a raffle to raise money? Many of the most popular items at auctions or booths are autographed sports memorabilia items. How can you get great items in your event? Call Adam Walter at Sports Investments. Sports Investments has a consignment program for fundraisers that has provided outstanding items. You select items that are proven sellers, including autographed pieces from Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Big Red Machine, the Bengals, the Browns, UC, XU, UK, NKU, Dayton, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Sports Investments consigns the items to your group at a highly discounted price. And when they sell, you keep the profit. You don't pay anything in advance. And if something doesn't sell, you simply return it. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Walter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email Adam at sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275. Just 40 minutes from WING.
The Reds are on the radio.
Every hit, every strikeout, every Reds victory. You can catch all of the action all season long right here on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Five 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the call-in number to be a part of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. We welcome you back. One more time, that number, 518-1410. For those of you that cannot call in, don't worry. There's many different ways that you can be a part of the Justin Kinner Show weekdays from 3 to 6. Head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show. Like, subscribe, and you could watch the show weekdays from 3 to 6 and interact. Every time you leave your comment to the comment section, we'll interact by pulling it into the show. Same thing goes for YouTube. Search ESPN Dayton on YouTube and subscribe right there. We just started that YouTube channel a few months ago, and that thing has grown pretty dang quickly, so we're really excited about that. You know, it used to just be the only way you can catch the show is live on the radio, and then we got excited because there was what was called the stream. You could stream it online and stream it on an app, and now there's Facebook and there's YouTube, and there's just so many different ways to take the show in, so many different ways for you to be a part of what we do. And we love that. So make sure you take advantage of it, whether it's calling in or streaming in online. 518-1410. That's the number to call in. So my intention was to move on, but I want to go back to the Facebook feed real quick, talking about Baker Mayfield, talking about Josh Allen, talking about Lamar Jackson. When you talk about which quarterback has more leverage right now, and that's a different way to shape this question. I'm curious people's thoughts on that. So Josh Allen gets his money, $43 million a year. Okay. After that extension, good for him. We knew it was going to be a large number. And that's where we're at. Now, you look at some of those mega deals like Deshaun Watson, the second highest paid quarterback in the history of the NFL. Will he even play a snap in the NFL again? That's the big question. And then you look at Patrick Mahomes, $250 million, or not a quarter, I'm sorry, $500 million, the $500 million contract that he signed or what have you. I mean, he's going to be making close to $50 million a season. It's unbelievable what he's getting. Baker Mayfield does not come close to that, or Deshaun Watson. But at the same time, when you look at what's going on with Lamar Jackson, who has an MVP under his belt, you would tell yourself, okay, he has a lot of leverage. When he sits down with him and his agent sit down with the ownership of the Ravens, they could bring up the fact that, well, if it wasn't for switching to Lamar Jackson 3 years ago, Harbaugh would have been fired. Harbaugh, that season in 2018, when they had, why am I forgetting the quarterback's name? I was never a fan of the quarterback. I thought he was overrated. He won a Super Bowl with them. Can't even think of his name now. It's driving me nuts. So years ago, he was the quarterback. He's injured. He goes down. Flacco, of course. Flacco. So when Flacco was the quarterback of the Ravens, Harbaugh, the Ravens were struggling. They had come out and announced in 2018 that Harbaugh was going to be, stepping away from the team at the end of the season. So that was proof right there that he was fired, but they were making it sound like he was leaving on his own accord. All those reports disappeared because when Lamar Jackson took over, they started winning a ton of games and they got to the playoffs. And then they win the division the next year. He wins an MVP in year 2, talking about Lamar Jackson. And then last year, the reigning MVP doesn't win the MVP again, but goes on to have a spectacular season. The Ravens win the division again. They get their first playoff win. And every year, Lamar and the Ravens, they just keep going and going and going. And they're drastic improvement, right? So you look at that resume for Lamar Jackson, and then you look at Baker Mayfield. And you look at everything he's done, and I've said it a million times, 0-16. Okay. He has Lamar at least is being drafted, late in the first round, but he's going to a much better situation, a team that's regularly in the playoffs, a team that's regularly winning and battling it out at the top of the AFC North, a Super Bowl winning head coach in Harbaugh. I mean, my goodness. Like, if there was ever a franchise to land, if you're Lamar Jackson, that was the perfect spot. Because would Lamar Jackson be Lamar Jackson in Cleveland? No, I don't believe so. I don't believe Lamar Jackson would have the success that he has had already if he would have been drafted by Cleveland. You can laugh all you want, but the bottom line is no. They weren't equipped. Do you think that, you give Harbaugh credit? Harbaugh knew how to adjust the offense to fit Lamar Jackson. Do you think Hugh Jackson would have figured that out? Do you? No. I'll just answer for you. No, he wouldn't have. That front office, that coaching staff was a disaster. It was a disaster. It was a mess. Do you think that they would have been able to figure out how to coach Lamar Jackson to success individually and within the team concept? Hell no. But Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in the league. He knew how to shape it. So Lamar Jackson's success is based on the better environment, the better system he went to. Baker Mayfield goes to 0-16. He goes to Hugh Jackson. And then they go to a defensive coordinator as the interim coach. Then he goes to Freddie Kitchens. 4 head coaches in the first 3 seasons of Baker Mayfield's career. And you wonder why he hasn't won an MVP or won a playoff game up until last year. You wonder all those things. It's not that hard to figure out, folks. So I have a question. Who has more leverage quarterback-wise heading into contract negotiations? Does Lamar Jackson have the upper hand over the Ravens, or does Baker Mayfield have the upper hand over the Browns? And you could say that both do, but which quarterback has more leverage in their contract negotiations? I think it's Baker Mayfield. The Ravens could look at Lamar Jackson and say, we won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco. Like, seriously. We won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco. We will find another quarter. We won a damn Super Bowl with Dilfer. They've won Super Bowls with significantly less talented quarterbacks than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson cannot look at the Ravens and say, you have no chance of ever winning without me. They have won with significantly less talented quarterbacks in the past. They won. You know what I'm saying? Like, what leverage does Lamar have? He has none. We all know that the defense is one of the best defenses in the NFL, so that they would with the weapons that they have, you could even argue that when you have J.K. Dobbins, when you added Sammy Watkins, you drafted the kid, of course, from Purdue, really Bateman, I believe, one of the top wide receivers in the draft. You have a very good offensive line. If you are the Ravens, it would be very easy to go find another good, talented quarterback in the free agent market that would love to come play with those guys. The Ravens have the upper hand here. Lamar has an MVP, but I think it's a flawed MVP. I think that people were so enamored with what they were watching. It's the first time we've seen anything like that since Michael Vick. We see it in the NBA all the time. When a new talent arrives and it's something we haven't seen in a while, all of the attention goes to that player. That's why Giannis Antetokounmpo wins back-to-back MVPs. Doesn't win it this past year, but his numbers were way better than his 2 MVP seasons. Oh, yeah, and the year he doesn't win an MVP, he wins an NBA championship. Did he get worse from his previous 2 back-to-back MVP awards? No, he was better. Giannis Antetokounmpo had a better season this year than he did his last 2 MVP seasons, but we were bored. The media was bored with Giannis because it's not new anymore. That's just what Giannis does. The great players get punished for being great because, that's just what they do. Tom Brady being Tom Brady, there's nothing special about that. He's always been Tom Brady, right? Aaron Rodgers, had a great year last year, wins an MVP. But, it was one of those things where Aaron Rodgers returned to form. Aaron Rodgers hadn't looked like that in quite some time. But the better you are, the more punished you are. So Lamar winning that MVP, it wasn't because he was the best player in the NFL that year. It's because it was just the most impressive storyline in the NFL that year. Great quarterback. I mean, great talent, I should say. I don't know about great quarterback. I don't think at the end of the day, Lamar Jackson is not a great quarterback. He's not. He is not a great quarterback. Like, I just don't understand that thought process from people. Like, he is not a great quarterback. I know he's won an MVP, but that was mainly because of the fact that he had, all the 1,000 yards rushing. Like, it was that's what people were enamored with. Russell Westbrook is a prime example. He's averaged a triple-double for 3 straight seasons. The only reason he won an MVP in the first place is because his very first season that he won the MVP, it was the very first time that anyone had averaged a triple-double since Oscar Robertson. So because we haven't seen something like that in decades, he got the MVP. Well, Russell Westbrook's numbers have actually been better the last 2 years than the year he won the MVP, and he doesn't get it. Why? Is it because Russell Westbrook is worse? No, it's because once we experienced something and we saw it and it was cool and it was new and it was fresh, you get the MVP. Once you start proving that, that's just what you do all the time. Okay, there's nothing special about that. Averaging a triple-double, there's nothing special about Westbrook averaging a triple-double. That's what he does. There's nothing special about Giannis Antetokounmpo dominating the NBA the way he does, because eventually it just gets to, that's what he does. Michael Jordan should have been MVP every freaking year that he was in the NBA. But they didn't give it to him because, of course, those are great numbers, but that's just what he does. LeBron James should be the MVP every year, but he doesn't get it every year because after the storyline had kind of watered down of, it's LeBron, of course, that's what he does. So now Lamar Jackson, whose numbers are actually better than his MVP year, we don't give it to him because, that's just what Lamar does. So I don't think that Lamar has leverage with the MVP on his resume. I just don't. The Ravens are one of the best well-run franchises in football. They have a hell of a defense. They have a great run game now. They have a good offensive line. They have good solid wide receivers. You can honestly say that the only thing holding the Ravens back is Lamar Jackson. You put Aaron Rodgers on that Ravens roster, they're better than the Packers. They win a Super Bowl. That Ravens roster wins a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. So, to me, the only thing holding the Ravens back is Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying there's a certain point where his talent is just not enough. Aaron Rodgers can win a Super Bowl with that Ravens roster. Lamar Jackson, we're wetting our pants with excitement because he wins a playoff game. Oh, wow. The Ravens are the Ravens with or without Lamar Jackson. The Browns, on the other hand, they spent 2 decades looking for a quarterback. They found him. 0-16 1 year, they win 7 games, a +7 win differential that, with Baker Mayfield. He leads them to the freaking Cleveland Browns. He leads them to 12 wins, 13 total wins because they won in the play, not just got to the playoffs, but they won in the playoffs. And now they have expectations as a Super Bowl contender because of Baker Mayfield. And before you waste my time with, no, Baker Mayfield's not why they're expected to win a Super Bowl, it's because of all the talent. Well, can you name me a team that's a Super Bowl contender that doesn't have talent? Do you realize how stupid you sound when you say, oh, well, the only reason Baker's in position, the only reason the Browns are Super Bowl contenders is because of all the talent? Well, yeah. No one's saying that about the Bengals. They don't have talent. And it doesn't mean that Joe Burrow's not good enough to win a Super Bowl at some point, but until he gets enough talent around him, he's not viewed as a Super Bowl quarterback. Baker Mayfield has what it takes. He has what it takes. This team has what it takes. This team would have beat the Chiefs last year if it wasn't for how bad that defense was. Baker Mayfield didn't lose the Chiefs game. The Browns defense lost the Chiefs game. The Browns Baker Mayfield, it had nothing to do with, Baker Mayfield lost to a backup quarterback. No, the Browns defense lost against a backup quarterback. The Browns should have been in the AFC title game last year, and they would have most likely beat the Bills. That's as crazy as that sounds. And I would have got my steak dinner. Let's go to the Facebook feed. Interesting comments coming in here. So Lamar Shelley says that Baker does not have the it factor. How does he not have the it factor? Are you kidding me? How does he not have the it factor? And you could say, well, his personality is brash and strong, and that's why they're winning. Well, I'm pretty sure Johnny Manziel had the same type of personality, and he couldn't do squat. Maybe, just maybe, it's talent. He does have the it factor. He has the personality similar to Johnny Manziel's, but the difference between him and Johnny Manziel is Baker has talent, and that's why they're winning. David Kendrick says Baker absolutely has the it factor. That's what makes him who he is. I agree. Mike Haywood says the way the NFL works right now, Baker for sure has to get that money, the $43 million a year. He's on the verge of being a top 10 quarterback. You can't let him walk. So when we talk about which quarterback has more leverage heading into their negotiations, Baker Mayfield has all the leverage on his side. He has a losing organization that did not taste winning until he got there. They didn't taste the playoffs until Baker got there. They didn't taste winning in the playoffs until Baker got there. And then you have the Ravens, who have won Super Bowls with less talented quarterbacks than Lamar. And Lamar's trying to convince them that you need me. You can't win without me. That's not true. That's not true at all. The Ravens have proved that they could do it. Keith Tolliver says, could use most of that. Josh Maloney says, Baker definitely, he will be the face of Cleveland for years to come. Now, Keith Tolliver says, could use most of that against Baker. Also, line running backs, as you've said, best secondary. How can you use that against Baker? How is that against Baker? You cannot win unless you have talent. You cannot win unless you have talent. And Lamar has had more talent since coming into the league than Baker. He's had Lamar took over talent. And nothing looks different. They got beat his rookie year in the playoffs. They got beat in year 2 the same way they got beat in year 1. They finally did get a playoff win this past season. But then when they got beat, you had a quarterback that could not throw for over 200 yards in a game. And you're going to try and tell me that Lamar Jackson deserves this money more than Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is a better running back than Baker Mayfield. It's as simple as that. Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. There, I said it. Let me ask you this. Does Baker Mayfield on the Ravens roster make them better or worse? Or the same? You'd be lying to yourself if you would say that the offense wouldn't be a slight bit better with Baker Mayfield and Lamar. Lamar does things that Baker can't. He does things that Josh Allen can't. Lamar does things that every quarterback in the NFL cannot do. But you know what Lamar can't do that every quarterback in the NFL can? Throw. And that's kind of an important trait to have when you're a quarterback. Ron Howard says running quarterbacks have very little longevity. Yeah, and Ron, that's my point too. I think Lamar's super talented, a talented football player, but is he a super talented quarterback? Help me out. 518-1410, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Help me out with this debate. Is Lamar Jackson an elite quarterback? I don't think he is. I think he's an elite athlete. I think he's an elite playmaker. But an elite quarterback? I'm not willing to go there. We'll be back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Update the look of your home and save with new Mastercraft doors from Menards. Choose from our in-stock selection, including pre-finished doors, or design your door for free in-store or on Menards.com with our door designer. Save 11% on all Mastercraft door systems. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through August 7th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Greatness. It's not born of coincidence. It's not a product of luck. It's forged through dedication, drills, and the acquisition of new skills. Wanting won't get you there, but sweat equity just might.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street wants to wish the Dayton Flyers Red Scare the best of luck in their journey through the basketball tournament. Wear red, be loud, go Flyers!
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Welcome to another episode of Ask Tomorrow. I'm your host, Tomorrow. Better sleep makes for a better me, and Casper's Cooling Collection has everything hot sleepers need to keep cool all night long, like the Wave Hybrid Snow Mattress for over 12 hours of cooler sleep. Okay, next caller.
Hi, Tomorrow. I need to break up with my boyfriend. Any suggestions?
Get him a breathable mattress protector. It helps hot sleepers stay cool.
I think I'll just go with flowers.
Yeah, none of my exes appreciated the mattress protector either. Casper, love your tomorrow.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer WetJet. With Swiffer WetJet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer WetJet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Companies. Last year, we saw historically low mortgage interest rates. What you may not know is that interest rates are already starting to increase, and it's likely that trend is only going to continue. Our team of experts is standing by to help you save before rates go up. Don't look back and wish that you had taken action. Call 833-8ROCKET or visit rocketmortgage.com.
Rocket. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030. Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
We're live. We're local. What are you gonna miss? He struck him out. We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, welcome back. Little fumble right there on the play. The Bengals in training camp. It was just a little off, right? Too much, too far. Not a good day for your Cincinnati Bengals in training camp. Again, so the very day one of the NFL training camp was last Wednesday, July 28th. We are a week in. And I have to ask, at the risk of upsetting some Bengals fans, at what point do you get a little uncomfortable? At what point do you get a little uncomfortable? This is according to Jay Morrison, Bengals beat writer with The Athletic. Another rough practice for Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense. Burrow was 4 of 11 in 11 on 11. And he took a pair of sacks. And again, that's, on back-to-back plays. So I really wish we wouldn't say that Joe Burrow, like a lot of the narrative is that Joe Burrow is struggling. Joe Burrow is struggling. But quarterbacks, it's kind of hard for quarterbacks to be good when everyone around you is struggling. Like, we need to stop. I'm defending Joe Burrow here. We got to stop with this whole Joe Burrow is struggling in camp. Jamar Chase is dropping passes. That's your number 1 overall freaking pick, or your number 5, your first round number 5 overall pick. That's not acceptable. This isn't a Joe Burrow problem. Joe Burrow is in year 2. Joe Burrow is still technically a rookie because he has not even played 16 games yet. He hasn't even played 10 full games. He's played 9.5 games. I'm not going to poke fun at Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is coming off of a freak injury that should not have happened had the organization did what they were supposed to. This is why, Bengals fans, and yes, I am going to do the haha, I told you so. Now, when I say haha, I told you so, nothing has happened yet. All right, the season hasn't started. They haven't lost a game yet, but this isn't good either. There's a lot of teams out there that there's a lot of positivity coming from camp. There's a lot of teams out there that it's nothing but, oh man, the quarterback looks sharp today. By the way, not to rub it in, but the Browns have had great camps. Baker has been picked off a few times in camp. That happens when you have the best secondary in football. But every report coming out of Browns camp is how sharp and how excited everybody is and how in sync they are. And that's a team that basically revamped their whole offense or their whole defense. And don't tell me that the Bengals revamped their whole offense. You added 2 new offensive linemen that are going to be significantly a part of the approach moving forward. And you added a receiver. That's it. You haven't added, you have Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins is in year 2. Give me a break. Okay. T. Higgins and Joe Burrow had a lot of chemistry last year. Tyler Boyd and Joe Burrow had a lot of chemistry last year. They don't have chemistry right now. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, it's Joe Burrow that's the problem. Joe Burrow is not the problem. Joe Burrow is experiencing why everybody said, man, Joe Burrow should really threaten not to play for the Bengals and go play somebody else. Go play somewhere else. Folks, if Trevor Lawrence knocks it out of the park this year and Justin Herbert is in the MVP conversation at the end of this year, I expect an apology from all of you who got mad at me for everything I said about this franchise. They are doing it. They are screwing it up. This is Jay Morrison. Another rough practice for Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense. Burrow was 4 of 11 in 11 on 11. He took a pair of sacks on back-to-back plays. The offensive line, the first team offensive line, 4 false starts, giving up 2 sacks. Now, Burrow's not actually getting hit, but if hitting was allowed, he would have been hit. Folks, stop getting mad at me. Why aren't you upset? I'm more concerned. I'm actually annoyed that you're not annoyed. How are you okay with this? How do you continue to sit here and tell me that I'm a hater for just pointing out that the team that's playing bad is playing bad? And, maybe you would have a point. Justin, it's only 1 week of training camp. This is a team that they purposely skipped their last day of OTAs because Zach Taylor, and I said, and I quote, "We've accomplished everything we need to accomplish, and we are on pace to having a great camp." That was Zach Taylor, your head coach. Now, if this was the Kansas City Chiefs and they were having a little rough start, I would say it's only week 1. We know what this team can do. Relax. If this was the New England Patriots, even without Tom Brady, I would say it's the New England Patriots. They will be fine. It's only week 1. But this is a team that has won 6 games in 2 years. And there is no signs of any kind of meshing or gelling or improvement. Yes, Justin, you're overreacting. It's only week 1. Well, do you think that all this disappears in week 2? Do you think it's gone by week 3? Do you think that they are a finished product by week 1? Guys, I know I'm annoying and I could be hard to deal with and listen to when you are a Bengals fan, but my goodness, guys, like this is annoying. You know, and Justin Nickel, it's the first training. Stop with the excuses, guys. You guys are like, what is wrong with? It's the first training camp Burrow had because of COVID-19. Your point would make sense if Joe Burrow didn't have a great rookie year up until going down with the injury. So, Justin, what does that even mean? So Joe Burrow can have a great regular season in the first 9.5 games without a training camp, but now he's having a bad training camp, and it's like, well, it's his first training camp. What does that even mean? You guys always like to prop him up and say, look at all the adversity he's overcoming. And then whenever he's not overcoming the adversity, we sit here and make excuses. Like, you can't have it both ways. Lamar Shelley says he needs a mental break. He has the dropsies. Who are you talking about? Jamar Chase? Are you talking about Jamar? The offensive line is bad. The wide receivers are not making plays. Caller, what's your name? Who's this?
Hey, it's Justin Nickel.
Justin Nickel, how are you, my friend? I was just yelling at
you. Pretty good, man. I know. I'm good, man.
I didn't even ask how you're doing. I don't care how you're doing. You're a Bengals fan, and you're annoying me. No, I'm just joking, man. But what do you got for me? I know you're calling to put me in my place, so let's hear it.
Okay.
Where are we at right now?
So,
are you concerned at all? It's okay to be concerned. It doesn't make you a bad fan.
I am concerned.
Fair enough.
But, you know, as I've been saying all week, I think he's rushing back, kind of like how Palmer did it, and they finished 8-8. The Steelers knocked him out of the playoffs, like, for making back-to-back years. Mm-hmm. But even Palmer was having some mental weariness of going back because, I mean, dude, he's getting paid, you know, but he wanted to get back in there. He wanted to show that he could get the Bengals back on point. It took him a couple years, and then once they got there, once they got back to the playoffs, I think either second time around or the first or second time around, he wanted traded to he wanted out of Cincinnati because he was done with it because Cincinnati wasn't loading him up with offensive talent, wasn't doing what he asked him to do. But for Burrow, I mean, yeah, COVID-19. I don't know if they even had a mini camp. I don't know if they had a training camp. Yeah, he did well.
What was last year? Did they just do a month of practice? Like, Justin, did they just do a month of practices and there were 0 preseason games, right?
Yeah.
I thought they did have a preseason.
I don't think they had a preseason.
So no preseason games. They didn't do like one, even, I don't know why I can't remember that. So it was just a month straight of practices. I don't know why I can't remember that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
honestly think practices are more valuable than those preseason games when it comes to Joe Burrow and the starters, mainly because in preseason games, Justin, you're playing 1 or 2 series, if that. Preseason games are more important for your second and third stringers than they are for the first stringers, in my opinion. Like, that's why I'm more concerned about what I'm hearing out of camp right now, is because this is their valuable time on the field, because it's not like in preseason where they're not playing hardly any series at all.
I think Mike Brown made a statement. If you go back, he said he's probably not going to play any preseason games, because Mike Brown's not willing to get him injured, even though he screwed up last year. He's going to override Zach Taylor and be like, look, I'm paying this guy. If he gets injured again on your watch, on my watch, we're screwed. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Like, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to see if these 4 or 5 weeks of practice will help them. But, I mean, yeah, he was all through mini camp, and everybody was praising how good he was looking because he wanted to meet up with the rookies. But he's not, like, right now, it's preseason. You need to start seeing some results.
But, Justin, here's the deal. Like, people think I'm just harping on the Bengals to harp on them. I would not – if this was like, okay, like let's put it this way. Let's say that the offensive line looked sharp. And let's say that the defense looked great. And let's say that the receivers were making great catches and everything, and the catches that were there in front of them. But, it's not like I'm only harping on, Joe Burrow's over and underthrowing receivers and all that. We're talking about they already had to Jackson Carman. They had to pull him already because he was jumping off sides. Now, I don't want to hear that he's a rookie. You're taught from middle school not to jump off sides, right? Like you're going to you go watch middle school football games. Those kids won't jump off sides. So I'm not going to let people say, Jackson Carman's a rookie, so that's why he's jumping off sides. Like football, the concept doesn't change. So I guess what I'm saying is if this was just Joe Burrow struggles, I would give it to you guys. But this is offensive line issues again. This is receivers dropping passes. That's why I'm now worried, to where a week ago I was saying, who cares? It's day 1, day 2, but this is 6 straight practices now where it's the same results and there's no improvement. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm not hating.
I'm with you.
I'm just pointing.
I'm with you. And then one other point from your earlier segment, because I was at the job running around. If Baker does well, and I want Baker to do well. I want him to do well because, he's the first legit quarterback you guys have had. You've had Tim Couch, you've had multiple quarterbacks. This one has actually stayed consistent. So no Browns haters here, but if he does well and he actually doesn't go for the money and pulls like, hey, I want to build around the team, dude, you got yourself a quarterback right there.
Yeah, I don't think Baker is a top 5 quarterback. I'll never put him up there in the echelon of Patrick Mahomes and even forget what Deshaun Watson's dealing with. Deshaun Watson's a more talented quarterback. But, to sit there and say that the only way to win in this league is by having those guys. Aaron Rodgers hasn't won a Super Bowl in over 10 years. Patrick Mahomes lost the Super Bowl last year. Deshaun Watson hasn't even been, dangerous in the playoffs at all. So it's like, okay, do you want to be a top 5 quarterback that doesn't win Super Bowls or be a top 12 quarterback that is on a Super Bowl caliber team? I think I'll take the situation Baker's in. And that's,
absolutely.
And I think, once Burrow stays healthy and the Bengals, if they could put the right pieces in place, I want the Bengals to be good too, because I want Bengals-Browns to be top. I want that to be the rivalry. I want that to be the matchup that everyone's, drooling over. And I think that we're getting there at some point. I feel like the Bengals are not doing their part right now.
Get them back to the 80s. Get them back to the 80s.
Yep.
Bruno and Kozar and Esiason. That'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah. But, Justin, I'm out of time, man. I'm already late, so I got to get moving.
Take care, man. See ya.
Adios. Appreciate your call. All right, good stuff. I was a Bengals fan. We had a good conversation. He didn't get mad at me. He's not one of the snowflake Bengals fans that I was telling you guys about. So, to close out with the Facebook feed here, Mike Haywood says, Justin, aren't you the one that said not to worry about exhibition games? Of course, he's talking about Team USA and everything like that. No, I said not to worry about exhibition game results. Joe Burrow and the starters in the preseason, folks, they're going to get maybe 1 series, if not 2. So I don't really care about exhibition game, preseason game results, because you're not getting any true visual of what the starters are going to look like. So I don't really care about preseason games. This is concerning. This isn't a preseason game that the starters looked rough in. I would just say, okay, whatever, it's a preseason game. It was 1 or 2 series. This is 6 straight days of practice that the starters are getting the majority of the attention and reps and snaps, because that's what's most important. The practices are more important than the preseason games when you are the Cincinnati Bengals right now. I don't care how they look in the preseason game. The preseason game is meant for the backups. The starters don't get valuable time in preseason games. So I don't care about preseason games. I care about practices. And if this was day 2 or day 3, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But this is 7 straight days of practice now that it's the same report. Jay Morrison, Paul Dehner Jr., James Rapine, these guys don't even need to show up to work anymore. They just need to have a pre-typed out tweet, a scheduled tweet that says, another rough day for Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense, and just set it for 3:30 every day. They don't even have to go watch it. The tweet will be accurate. I promise you. That's where we're at. So, Mike, no, nice try. And by the way, when I said I don't care about the results of exhibition Olympic games, that everyone tried telling me that, oh, yeah, Team USA, they suck. Yeah, they're going to win gold tonight. And then all you morons that said Greg Popovich is an overrated coach, you look even dumber. So how's that? Doug Toby, rerun. If I wanted to watch reruns, I'd watch Andy Griffith. And, of course, he's talking about the rerun being me ripping the Bengals. You know what's funny is when you tune in and you hear me say the same thing every single day about the Bengals, that bothers you. But yet you tune in every year and watch a bad Bengals team, and you just feel like, well, that's refreshing. Doug Toby, I've had be better. Do better with your comebacks, please. Do better. Have a great weekend. Go Browns, go Bengals, go Dayton Flyers, go Wright State, go Ohio State. Who am I missing? Go Blue Jackets and go Reds. Mike Moustakis back in the lineup tonight. Reds and Pirates, game 2. Reds are rolling. 3.5 games back of the wild card. I never thought I would say this 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, but the wild card seems more realistic right now than the damn division, and I thought the division was theirs. Even being 4 games back coming out of the All-Star break, man. But that sweep, getting swept by the Brewers, was the absolute worst thing in the history of the world that could have happened. Absolutely brutal. They're running in place in the division. They win, the Brewers win. They lose, the Brewers lose. The Reds win 3 straight, the Brewers win 3 straight. The Reds lose 2 of 3, the Brewers lose 2 of 3. They can't, I mean, it's annoying. All of a sudden, the Padres are struggling, and the Reds might have an in. Have a great weekend, everybody. I appreciate you all. I know I could be annoying Bengals fans. I promise you, though, we all want the same thing. We want the Bengals to be good. You want the Bengals to be good because you're Bengals fans, but also you want the Bengals to be good to shut me up. I want the Bengals to be good because I want, every time I crack this mic and take calls, I want the smack talking to keep going. I don't want the Bengals season to be done before it starts. That's going to make this a long fall. Then you guys are boring. It's fun when the Bengals are playing well. It's fun when the Browns are playing well. It's fun when you have 2 fan bases who can't stand each other, and yet we all have fun because we're just talking smack about our teams. That's fun. So you may think I'm enjoying the Bengals' struggles. I'm not. I'm actually frustrated like you are. The difference is I can admit it. You somehow keep making excuses. Have a great night, everybody. Until next Monday, this has been the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar